your sport throughout the morning. Ntauleng Lechela has your economics, business, and market news covered. And of course, just before 8 a.m., we will have Sipho Mantula with your Africa update. The Tuesday edition of the Morning Brief starts now.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week as contestants bake for a spot in the top 5. But to make it through, they must overcome their most ambitious challenge yet, designing, baking and decorating their dream birthday cake. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7, repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
For credible and comprehensive coverage of South Africa's fast-moving mining industry and the people shaping it, click through to Creamer Media's Mining Weekly. From policy and innovation to market-moving trends, Creamer Media's Mining Weekly keeps your finger on the resources pulse. For even deeper insight, subscribe to our New Look weekly magazine, out every Friday, together with engineering news. Creamer Media's Mining Weekly. Current, credible, comprehensive.
CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe said, the exponential growth and global competitiveness of football in Africa has resulted in substantial interests from major African and international broadcasters in African football. SABC has been participating competitively in the CAF media rights bids. CAF welcomes them as partners, joining a number of CAF's media rights holders. We are committed to ensuring that CAF's competitions, including its broadcast products, are world-class.
The Daily News Diary on SAFM.
Let's say good morning to Ann Musa for that. And Ann, good morning. So today, what is on your diary? I imagine that the day 2 of the JSC will be somewhere in there, as well as the mass shooting, the latest mass shooting in the Eastern Cape.
Good morning, Thulas. True. We're looking at those. The latest developments in the mass shooting in the Eastern Cape with possible leads, and the National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola was in the area yesterday and saying that some of the leads show locals were involved. So 6 community policing forum members were now shot and killed at Kumbu in the province, and that shooting coming after the memorial service of the 18 people that were killed in Lusikisiki. It is day 2 of the Judicial Service Commission interviews, and they will be interviewing candidates to fill positions in various courts across the country, and interviews today to fill the vacancies of the Deputy Judge President of the Land Court, the Judge President of the Labour Court and Labour Appeal Court, as well as 1 vacancy in the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court in Mthatha. Well, yesterday in the Senzo murder trial, the defence again asked the High Court in Pretoria on the prison conditions of one of the accused, and it's alleged that Ntobisi Ncube has been kept in solitary confinement for more than 4 years now, and Ncube's defense asked the court to intervene, saying the situation is impacting negatively, on his mental health. So the presiding judge advised Ncube to bring an urgent application, which we are expecting to happen today. We also have details on that shocking deaths of the 5 children in Soweto, and this after consuming food suspected to have been poisoned. It is alleged that the children ate snacks that was bought from a local spaza shop over the weekend, and information coming to us is that the community leaders will meet with local government later on this morning. And just lastly, the University of Fort Hare murder trial is to sit at the High Court and in Bishu, and it follows the murder of the Vice-Chancellor's bodyguard and a fleet manager that were killed during a corruption probe at the institution. So the suspects are also facing the attempted murder of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Sakele Buhlungu. 10 suspects expected to appear in court. Some of the stories that we are looking at this morning.
Yeah, thank you for that. And just from those highlights that you highlighted now, I was just thinking about the Senzo Meyiwa trial. I was watching it for the first time, just trying to catch up because, you can't always be tuned in. And yesterday I was just struck by how, if you use the analogy of a long tunnel and hoping that justice is light at the end of that tunnel, I don't know. At this point,
No glimmer,
I'm not
nothing.
I don't see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing.
It's so
But we allow the
convoluted.
process, but it's going to take some time.
And not only that, and trials generally do take time. It's just that this one is so convoluted. Anything can happen. All bets are off. An application can be moved at any moment and take the trial in a completely different direction.
Especially what happened yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially yesterday.
All right, and Musa will keep you updated every half hour with your news and news headlines throughout the morning here on SAFM.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
Let's get you ready for the day now. Here's how your weather will be looking today. There's just one impact-based warning, and that is a yellow level 1 warning that says damaging winds leading to difficulty in navigation at sea are expected between Cape Point and Cape Agulhas, spreading to Plettenberg Bay in the evening. Then we have a fire danger warning, and it says extremely high fire danger conditions are expected in places over the David Kruiper District Municipality in the Northern Cape, as well as the low fells of both Mpumalanga and Limpopo. The rest of your weather then looks like this. It's fine in the morning in Pretoria. It is fine in the morning. Otherwise, partly cloudy with a minimum of 11 and a maximum of 29. Johannesburg is fine in the morning. Otherwise, partly cloudy with a minimum of 9 and a maximum of 28. Mbombela fine, becoming partly cloudy by the afternoon, 9 to 32. Polokwane is fine, 9 to 30. Mahikeng fine at first, otherwise partly cloudy, 10 to 30. Bloemfontein is fine at first, otherwise partly cloudy, with a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 28. Kimberley is partly cloudy with a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 29. Cape Town is partly cloudy, becoming fine from the afternoon. The wind is light to moderate southerly to southeasterly with a minimum of 17 and a maximum of 30. Gqeberha is cloudy to partly cloudy with isolated light showers and rain. The wind in Gqeberha will be light to moderate southerly, becoming moderate to fresh easterly in the afternoon with a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 20. East London is cloudy with scattered showers and rain. The wind will be moderate southwesterly, becoming southeasterly in the afternoon, but easterly in the evening with a minimum of 16 and a maximum of 20. Durban is fine, becoming cloudy in the afternoon with isolated showers and rain. The wind will be moderate to fresh southwesterly to southerly, reaching strong at times with a minimum of 18 and a maximum of 23. Pietermaritzburg is fine, becoming cloudy from the late morning with isolated showers and rain with a minimum of 14 and a maximum of 25.
The reality is that 90% of South Africans don't save enough for retirement. This National Seniors Month, why not be part of the 10% who do? Choose an interest rate of up to 11.7% after 60 months with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Anyone 55 and over can open one on the Money app in less than 2 minutes. Go to nedbank.co.za for more info. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The Leopards and Taifa Stars have a big battle in the top of the table clash. DRC is only interested in 3 points to maintain their winning rhythm, while the East Africans also want victory to sustain their unbeaten run in Group H. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco, DR Congo versus Tanzania on Thursday, 10 October at 6 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
To this story then, the year 2023 marked the driest year for global rivers in over 3 decades. And that's according to a new report coordinated by the World Meteorological Organization, which signaled critical changes in water availability in an era of growing demand. The last 5 consecutive years have recorded widespread below normal conditions for river flows, with reservoir inflows following a similar pattern. This this reduces the amount of water available for communities, agriculture and ecosystems, further stressing global water supplies, and that's according to the State of Global Water Resources report. I'm joined now by Professor Anthony Turton, who is a water scientist and water expert. Thank you for joining us, Prof. I've got to thank you for your time. So this report says 2023, the driest year for global rivers. That's an issue that should be of great concern for all of us, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. We need to understand that water is distributed globally through the weather system. Of all the water on the planet, most of it is salt water. About 3% of the total water on the planet is fresh water, and that fresh water is found in rivers, lakes, in ice packs, in the ground and what have you. So it's that the fresh water that is under pressure for a number of reasons, and one of them is climate variability. But of course, the other big reason why freshwater resources are under pressure is the growing population growth, which is driving demand for drinking water, but also water for food and water to sustain jobs and livelihoods that the economy depends on.
Sure. So what about the river flows in particular? Are we seeing changes in terms of river flow patterns that are contributing to this? And if so, what's behind those changes?
Yes, we are seeing changes without any question of doubt. And you must appreciate that in the last century, which is, it might seem a long time for most people, but a century in terms of geological timescales is just a blink of an eye. And in the last century, we've seen major modification of all the world's dams in the form of, all the world's rivers in the form of dam construction. Now, you must appreciate that dams are extremely important for water security. South Africa is listed amongst the top 20 countries in the world in terms of the number of large dams that it has. So South Africa is very much a dam-based economy. But what happens under conditions of climate variability when it gets hotter? Your water that you store in your dams is also lost to evaporation. And let me just give you an indication of the numbers. Over the whole of South Africa, the whole geographic area of South Africa, of 100 units of water falling out of the sky as rain, only 8 units end up in the river. So the rest is lost to evaporation. So evaporation plays a very, very important role. And of course, that's all associated with the dams. When we talk about the water flow or the river flow that is being altered by climate, we also tend not to see in the media the opposite side of that problem, and that is the increased level of salinization or salt buildup in the water as a result of the evaporation I've just explained. So on the one hand, we've got altered river flows. On the other hand, we've got a deterioration of water quality. And those two things, the availability and the quality of water, those two things are of major concern to South Africa and other parts of the world as well.
Please say more on the salinization element of it. Are you talking about more salt deposits in what was otherwise fresh water?
Yes, so if there was a major study done some years ago by the Department of Water and Sanitation in South Africa called the Vaal River Salinity Study, and that was shown without any question of doubt that the Vaal River is becoming more saline. And the two major causes of salinity in the Vaal are, the first cause is a flow of water from the mine dumps, from the gold mining areas, and the second is the return flow of sewage water into the system. So both sewage water and mine water increases the salinity of the system. So without any question of doubt, the Vaal River system is becoming more saline, but this is part of a global trend as well. Other rivers in the world, wherever you have a big dam in a system, the water flowing out of the dam is generally more saline than the water then goes into the dam, simply because of the loss to evaporation.
Prof, while you're talking about mine drainage, I'm wondering if we've reached a stage where the conversation about acid mine drainage, the impact of development projects such as mining, economic activities such as mining on the environment has reached a stage where the conversations that are being had are consequential in that there are systems in place that try to not only minimize but reverse the impacts of activities such as mining on water resources. Are we at that point, or are we still stuck in that paralysis by analysis, understanding what the problem is, but never really getting to a point where players know what it is that they're supposed to do, and if they don't, there are consequences?
Well, we are certainly at the point of consequences. The consequences have been spelt out very clearly to all decision makers across the entire value chain for many years. Certainly since the early 2000s, the National Water Resource Strategy #1, published in 2002, made it very clear what the consequences are. So if we continue to ignore the consequences, then we're going to start seeing more and more of what is already happening in South Africa. I refer to the fact that there's a platform for a water secure Gauteng that has been created by the Department of Water and Sanitation, and that is designed to avoid day zero in Gauteng. So in other words, these are strategies that are being implemented as we speak now because of water shortage. That we're talking here about an absolute water shortage, but embedded in all of those is the let's call it the induced water scarcity, and I use the word induced advisedly because that refers to the deterioration of the water quality that basically reduces the volume of water that's available to us or increases the cost of treatment, all of which is passed on to the consumer.
Lastly, Prof, just from a geographic feature point of view, the conversation we've been having about, this being the driest year for global rivers, what is the impact, just from a perspective of rivers as geographic features? Are we under any threat that perhaps in decades to come, some of the rivers we used to describe as quote unquote mighty, the mighty, Limpopo, mighty, Kai River, etc., will not necessarily be that mighty in decades to come?
Well, I can give you many different elements to that answer. I think the one is the mighty Umzimkhulu River in KZN. That's the only undammed river in the country, or one of only two undammed rivers in the country. That river is reduced to an absolute trickle now because of over abstraction upstream for agricultural purposes. So the mighty Umzimkhulu has become a feeble flow that sometimes requires a bulldozer to open to the mouth. And of course, one of the famous rivers is the Colorado River in America. The Colorado River drains the central part of the United States into Mexico. And that is the most litigated river in the world because of disruption to stream flow, but also of deterioration in water quality. Places like the mighty Nile River, in many cases the Nile flood that used to control the prosperity of the Egyptian people for thousands of years, is no longer what it used to be. It's been the flood pulse has been mitigated by dam construction, so it goes on. The Ganges and Brahmaputra River in India and Pakistan. These are major rivers, and of course, one of the causes of the collapse of the USSR was the loss of water security in the Aral Sea, the Subdaria and the Amudarya rivers that simply dried up because of excessive irrigation under the Soviet plan.
Sure.
So there are many examples from all over the world.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time. It's been insightful and quite educational as well. That's Professor Anthony Turton, who is a scientist specializing in water resource management. Let's check in now with N. Musa with the latest news headlines.
Good morning. Thanks to us. In the headlines, police have launched an investigation into an incident in which 4 Gauteng learners died after consuming food suspected to have been poisoned. The Gauteng Education Department says the learners died in Soweto on Sunday. The Judicial Service Commission says it's still waiting for the National Assembly Speaker Toko Didiza's communication on the resignation of the Thulasizwe Party's parliamentary leader, Dr. John Hlophe's resignation from the body. And police in Guatemala have raided 5 regional officers of the British aid agency Save the Children as part of an investigation into alleged child abuse. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
2 very heavy backlogs coming in from the south into Joburg this morning. One is a fatal crash before the Ormonde exit, before Xavier Street on the Mike 1 North. Avoid that route at standstill from Uncle Charlie's. You've got plenty of options there. Coming through Deep Cliff Interchange, exit at Ormonde or exit at Xavier Street and go up to the Mike 1 at Ormonde, or exit at Clip River Drive and route in through Southdale up to Boysons, where you can on-ramp back onto the highway, or just keep going on Boysons up through Selby if the CBD is your destination. Avoid the Mike 1 North. Also, some heavy traffic building on the N3 coming through from Sprayview. Pedestrian crash just at the Elands interchange, and that traffic getting quite heavily backed up as well. Durban, some wet weather conditions this morning. We're also looking at a big truck that's overturned on the gateway off-ramp to Phoenix. So if you're on that side of Mhlanga this morning, that ramp is going to be slow as you negotiate. That looks like just a single lane open. Rain, if I didn't mention that, across Durban, and rain across East London as well. Very overcast, very wet in the areas where it's raining. Please drive nice and easily. Cape Town, a crash involving a taxi running off the road on the N2 into town at the R300. That's already pushing a queue of onlookers right back towards the Spine Road exit. And sandy conditions again on Baden-Powell Drive around Coastal Park. Just take it easy and proceed with caution through that sand. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Oh, look, it's the jet settings. I'm finally back. It's nice to have you back with us, you know, ordinary folks.
Sabenza girl, that's me.
Sabenza girl. I see that you are leading with cricket, and perhaps it's a case of winning the war, but not winning the battle, the final battle.
I
the Proteas,
like,
right?
Yeah, I like that actually, because we saw Ireland pulling a rabbit out of the hat, and we decided to let them have some fun.
Okay.
At the end. Sharing is caring. So that's the series won by Team Proteas 2-1. But yesterday we just fell short against Ireland in the final ODI, losing by 69 runs. Ireland's captain Paul Sterling leading the charge with a commanding 88 runs, while South Africa's Jason Smith fought valiantly with 91. Now the Proteas women, they put up a brave fight in their T20 World Cup clash against England, but fell just short, losing by 7 wickets with 4 balls to spare. England's Nat Siver-Brunt led the charge with an unbeaten 48, while South Africa's Laura Wolfart top scored with 42. Now, following the morale-boosting 10-wicket win in their opener against the West Indies on Friday, the 25-year-old Wolfart assured the defeat to England will not deter their focus in their remaining group stage fixtures, which will be against Scotland and Bangladesh tomorrow.
Yeah, I think obviously everyone's a bit disappointed because it feels like a lot of sort of controllables that we did wrong today. It's not like they completely outplayed us. I feel like if we took our chances, ran a bit better in the middle, rotated better, we could have had a good chance of winning that game. But yeah, the team talk still got 2 very important games. I think if we win them well, we still have a big chance of making semis. I'm not too sure what the maths is, but I'm pretty sure 2 wins puts us in a good position. So all focus will just be on the next game. Can't dwell on this, we got a big turnaround.
Now, soccer, the title holders Al Ahly of Egypt will face Orlando Pirates after both were placed in Group C when the CAF Champions League group stage draw was made last night. Shabab Belouizdad of Algeria and Stade Abidjan of the Ivory Coast complete the section following the draw at the Confederation of African Football Officers in Cairo. Al Ahly are the team to beat in the Premier Africa Club competition as they seek a historic third straight title, having won the past two finals. Elsewhere, Netherlands legend Johan Neeskens has died at the age of 73. The former midfielder was part of Ajax and Netherlands team credited with creating total football in the 1970s. Neeskens was capped 49 times for the Dutch and was part of the teams that finished runners-up at the 1974 and 1978 World Cups. Onto rugby, the British and Irish Lions players will now get a share of profits during next year's tour of Australia in a new financial partnership model. The agreement will also lead to increased collaboration with players on scheduling and preparations, including a training camp before the tour and the pre-tour. Now, players earned a reported 1.2 million rand plus bonuses for the last tour in South Africa, and that was in 2021. And finally, tennis. After being played by weather-related delays, the Shanghai Masters continued with wins for Holger Rune of Denmark and Italy's Fabio Corbelli. Now, we also have Corbelli. He finished late last night, taking down Stan Wawrinka of Switzerland. The 28th seed Corbelli will next face the number 4 seed Novak Djokovic. That's a wrap of your sport on the morning brief. More top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
There's sponsoring a news feature. Then there's helping your clients make the news. Search Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking to see how far they can take your business.
The Business Update on SAFM.
With that, let's turn to Ndauleng Lechela for that first of three business updates for this morning. Ndauleng, I see that the electronics, AI, super chips and conductors, that's really where the business is, isn't it? I mean, I see from the report you're about to tell us from Foxconn, that's clearly where the money is.
That's right, Thulas. Now, Foxconn has continued to report strong revenue growth. In the third quarter, the assembler of Apple's iPhone and manufacturer of NVIDIA's chips delivered a 20.2% jump in revenue, coming in at a record high of $57.3 billion. This was, of course, boosted by high demand for AI servers, benefiting its cloud and networking business, and new product launches boosting iPhone and other consumer electronics sales. Now, the firm also said that Taiwan's tech companies usually see a surge in demand during the third quarter as they gear up to supply major brands like Apple with smartphones, tablets, and electronics for the holiday season for Western markets. And so it expects fourth quarter earnings to also be upbeat. Looking ahead, Foxconn says AI has more room to run. The group's chairman, Yang Liu, says the boom in corporate investment into artificial intelligence infrastructure still has some way to go, and the Asian company is looking to benefit further from that boom.
Because Samsung, for example, is warning of downbeat third quarter performance.
It's very interesting to see how this is playing out. Now, the world's largest memory chip maker and second largest smartphone maker has lowered its profit expectations for the third quarter. It's important to note that they are still delivering profit, just not as high as markets are expecting it to be. Now, despite a significant increase from last year, the company's projected operating profit fell short of analyst expectations. The group has cited weaker demand for legacy chips used in PC and smartphones and increased competition from Chinese firms. Now, delays in shipping high bandwidth memory chips also impacted performance. So we're seeing the dynamics of Samsung and other chip making companies coming to the fore, where Samsung is making regular chips that power computers and laptops, while other chip makers are making these super chips that power artificial intelligence. Now, analysts have expressed disappointment in the numbers, noting Samsung's struggle to maintain market share. The company relies on traditional DRAM chips, and we're seeing demand for those chips declining. To address this, Samsung has to adapt its memory supply strategy. Now, the company's shares have dropped 22% this year, signaling a lack of confidence in the company's efforts to turn around. We'll be getting more insight on the group's performance when it releases its full quarterly results later this month.
Yeah, so I guess it's about what exactly are you manufacturing within this high-tech economy that we are talking about. Dowling, a recap then of Asian markets, the US, as well as how the JSE closed yesterday.
So U.S. stocks fell yesterday, dragged down by soaring treasury yields and rising oil prices. The S&P slipped 1%, while the Dow Jones fell 398 points, retreating from its recent record high. The JSE, in the meantime, not faring well, closing mixed. The oil share pretty flat, down 0.03%, mainly fueled by declines from the resources, which fell 1.21% in the red. On the currency front, the rand still range bound as risks remain. It's trading at 17.46 to the dollar. Over in Asia, those markets mostly in the red, led by Hong Kong's sharp decline. Investors on that front reassessing interest rate expectations after strong U.S. jobs data, while escalating Middle East tensions further dampened market sentiment.
All right, thank you for that. That's Ndawuleng Lechela. She's back with another update for you after 7:30 here on the Morning Brief.
There's listening to the news, then there's making the news. Grow your business into the next big thing with Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking. When you choose Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking, you get access to our transactional banking solutions. Accessing our transactional banking solutions means you'll get a dedicated manager from the country's best relationship bank. When you have a dedicated relationship manager, their business is to understand your business and its financial needs. By understanding all your needs, they can connect you with the right sector and product experts across 15 key African markets. You see, there's transactional banking, then there's transactional banking with us. Search Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Call Thulasizwe now. 086 000 2032.
Now on some of the issues that we've been raising this morning. Let's speak to Patrick in Pietermaritzburg. Patrick, good morning. You want to talk to me about the shooting in Thulasizwe. Are you talking about the one where 18 people died, or are you talking about the one in Kumbu that happened recently where 6 people died? Good morning.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. Just to congratulate you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good. I just wanted to ask you, Thulasizwe, they said that those ladies were involved in a cleansing ceremony. So I just wanted to find out, what was that cleansing ceremony, Thulasizwe?
This is the one in Thulasizwe.
That's correct, sir.
To be honest with you, Patrick, I don't know the details of what the ceremony was. I guess for me and for many people, it's the shock of whatever the ceremony was. People can't even gather for whatever purposes, religious, spiritual, cultural, without being mowed down in this way in peacetime South Africa.
Yes, I just wanted to know what, because if the ceremony, what was the importance of the ceremony, and why would those 18 people be killed because of the ceremony, Thulasizwe?
Yeah,
yes.
I'm with you. We're all seeking answers, to be honest, Patrick.
Thank you, Thulasizwe.
And hopefully as the suspects appear in court, we'll start getting some of those answers. That's Patrick there in Pietermaritzburg, weighing in on that incident that happened 2 Saturdays ago in Thulasizwe, in that village, where 18 people were gunned down. As we know now, there have been 3 suspects that have been apprehended. Let's see how it unfolds over the coming days.
The wait is finally over, and we can safely say that Tropica Island of Treasure is back to serve you some really great entertainment. Tune into S3 from the 28th of September to cheer on the 7 teams who will be vying to win a shared prize of 1 million rand, a brand new car each, and become the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure Season 11. Fancy 50,000 bucks? Predict the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure, and you might be sipping that cold, refreshing Tropica all the way to the bank. Follow at MyTropica and at SABC3 for more information. Channel your inner champion with Tropica Island of Treasure. Starts Saturday the 28th of September at 6:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
This summer, we have extra large offers on Ford Ranger XL, XLT and Wildtrak from only 481,900 for a Ranger XL single cab 4x2. is the extra large Ranger offer from only 481,900. Visit your nearest participating Ford dealer. Optional service plan included. While stocks last. TNCs apply.
The University of Johannesburg ladies plan to conquer the morning and secure a crucial 3 points for breakfast. But Richmond United believe it is about time for them to rub shoulders with teams in the top half. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Witness the Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. UJ Ladies FC versus Richmond United Ladies FC on Saturday, 12 October at 9 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
It is 14 minutes to 7. It's good to have you with us on the Morning Brief. Let's talk politics now. It has been over 100 days since the formation of the Government of National Unity that involves 10 different political parties, among them, of course, the African National Congress, which has been in government since 1994. The first 100 days of the coalition have been tested by potential instability due to some disagreements between coalition partners. Despite this, the coalition seems to be weathering the storms to some degree. Let's reflect on it. I'm joined now on the line by the ANC spokesperson, Mahlengi Pengu Mutsiri. Good morning to you, Mahlengi. I thank you for your time. What is your sense over the first 100 days of the Government of National Unity, Grand Coalition, whatever you call it? What is your sense of its ability to hold and, importantly, to deliver on the goals that it has set for itself?
Thank you very much, Thulasizwe, and thank you for having us. South Africa is waking up to the idea that the Government of National Unity voters, for example, have said they want this to happen. That is why we had an electoral outcome that we had. And there is a groundswell of support for the GNU. I mean, this is evidenced by a number of pollsters that have tested what the feeling by South Africans is of the GNU. And so the past 100 days, and for the ANC, the 11th of October constitute a significant milestone, given the fact that that was the time when the administration was constituted. But we can say, I think, with a sense of confidence that South Africans are supportive of the Government of National Unity.
What about the incidents and instances where the coalition partners, the partners in the Government of National Unity, and again I say whatever you call it, seem to be pulling in different directions? Many South Africans will be saying we are seeing a lot more of that, these spats that we see happening between the DA leadership and the Secretary General of the ANC from time to time, the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act, and now the sort of line in the sand that certain quarters within society are drawing, particularly the supporters, those that, see themselves as supporters of the Freedom Front Plus, for example, saying that it should withdraw from the Government of National Unity if the Bella Act is implemented as it is after the 3 months of the suspension of those clauses.
There are specific things I wish to mention to your question, Thulasizwe. One is that this is an ANC-led Government of National Unity. It is the ANC that put together a statement of intent and invited every single political party in South Africa that is represented in the national legislature to join the ANC in constituting a government that will work for the people of South Africa, taking into account the electoral outcome. And I think that many South Africans, I use the report by the Social Research Foundation of Franz Cronje that demonstrates that South Africans are comfortable with the direction in which the Government of National Unity is going. Of course, there will be areas where there are disagreements. I think it will be ignorant of us to think that by merely constituting a government of national unity, various political parties cease to have their own identity. They continue to have their own identity, just as the ANC continues to have its own identity. Yes.
Your biggest detractors, though, Mahlengi, are within the tripartite alliance. You will have heard what Solima Paila has been saying consistently, despite pushback from yourselves as the ANC. He maintains that going into a coalition that involves the DA and the Freedom Front Plus was a mistake on your part.
Well, we have seen and heard that, unfortunately, we are going to continue engaging with the South African Communist Party, our allies and our trusted ally. And again, I think the alliance partners have always given them each other the space to articulate their own positions. The party has got to be responsive to the dictates of their membership. But where is the good thing that happens is because there is an opportunity to engage the South African Communist Party. Certainly the ANC does not believe that this is a government of national unity or of neoliberal unity, as some have suggested to the left of politics. It is not. Look at the policies of the ANC. None of the policies that the ANC in its election manifesto have been changed and are about to be changed, including broad-based economic empowerment.
All right, Mahlengi Pengu Mutsiri, thank you for joining us this morning. She is the spokesperson of the ANC, reflecting on the first 100 days of the Government of National Unity.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still very heavy on the Mike 1 into Joburg this morning from Uncle Charlie's. A fatal collision scene between Uncle Charlie's and the Xavier Street exit on Monday is causing that big backlog. And given the nature of that, we're probably looking at some heavy traffic on that Mike 1 for some time. Trying to avoid it, you've got options of exiting the N12 at Xavier Street or at Clip River Drive to hit some alternatives to connect with the Mike 1 north of that problem as before you go into Xavier. Also a crash on the N3 north at Elands Interchange. So some extra delays coming through from the Spruitview area this morning. Get past that crash at Elands and you stay in traffic right through effectively to Galilee's. Main Reef Road out in the Vitdeep Knights area, some protesting this morning. If you're moving between Germiston and Boksburg, expect some delays there. And a couple of lights, big lights down around Four Ways. Winnie Mandela at Monte Casino, Winnie Mandela at the N1 highway, still a problem. There are pointsmen on duty, but it's probably just going to be a little bit busier getting out of Four Ways than you'd like. Looks like a power supply problem south of Durban. A lot of lights out Umlazi, Isipingo area, the M35 through Isipingo, the Mangosuthu Highway out to Mega City. Some real heavy traffic in that part of Durban this morning. That's on top of the rain that is falling through the region. Also raining in East London, so take it easy on wet and slippery roads, please. Cape Town, a couple of problems. One is a crash involving a taxi sliding off the N2 this morning at the R300. It's a big backlog of traffic coming through from Spine Road, passing Khayelitsha, really under some pressure. A crash on the Stellenbosch Arterial at the R300, causing some delays. And there's a stationary vehicle to watch for on the N7 southbound at the N1 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Becoming Elizabeth is the fascinating story of the early life of England's most iconic queen. With no clear heir, the death of King Henry VIII sets into motion a dangerous scramble for power. Elizabeth's fascinating and factual journey to secure the crown is filled with scheming, betrayal, and illicit relationships that threaten to bring forth her demise. At a time in which every man or woman of the court is on the wheel of fortune, which may take them to a position of great power one moment, or the executioner's block the next. Channel your inner royalty with Becoming Elizabeth, Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I was recently diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome. Patients like myself go through a long and strenuous journey to get a stem cell transplant. I am grateful for the support I've received as I wait for the call that my donor has been found. This Sunflower Month, be a lifeline to patients like myself by registering to become a stem cell donor. You can save a life by registering at dkmsafrica.org.
Four dynamic design duos reimagine and reinvent 4 apartments in a century-old building nestled in the vibrant suburb of Sea Point, Cape Town. Armed with creativity, determination, and a limited budget, the duos fight against the clock to transform this grand old dame into a contemporary masterpiece, all under the critical eyes of an expert judging panel. The winning duo will claim a grand prize of 300,000 Rand, with an additional 100,000 Rand going to the fan favorite team, as voted by viewers. Channel your inner wow with My Design Rules, Sundays at 7 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
Eskom says it has invested about 6 billion rand in open-cycle gas turbines over the past 6 months in a bid to avert load shedding. According to the power utility, the Generation Operational Recovery Plan has proven to be highly effective. It says due to the plan, it has successfully suspended load shedding for almost 200 consecutive days since 26 March 2024. Let's bring into the conversation Professor Samson Mampweri, who is the head of Energy Secretariat at the South African National Energy Development Institute. Prof, good morning. Thank you for your time. 6 billion rand in 6 months. It's lower than what was spent, say, last year, because these are the emergency generation, facilities that use diesel and they don't come cheap. But is it necessarily a number for South Africans to welcome and be proud of?
Good morning, Thulasizwe and the SAFM listeners. Yeah, so there's a huge improvement in the performance of the Eskom generation fleet. The 6 billion rand, it's a welcome kind of investment as compared to, if you look at the previous financial year to date. They have basically saved about 11.5 billion rand if you compare the numbers from the previous financial year. So that is a welcome kind of achievement. And remember that this also talks to your electricity price for the price hikes for the next financial year, because when they look at the cost of generation, they also include these numbers. So the fact that they went down by more than 11 billion rand, it's a very big achievement. And I've looked at the system performance; it's performing quite well so far.
So, but from my perspective, just looking at the numbers, at the last reporting at the beginning of September, Eskom was talking about having spent 3.2 billion rand between 1 April and 5 September. And then now we are at 6 billion rand having been used on open cycle gas turbines. It says to me at least 2.5 billion rand of that 6 billion rand came in the last month or so. Am I reading the numbers incorrectly in that my sense of it is that the use of these OCGTs is increasing?
Not necessarily, because if you look at the year to date, the financial year to date, 1st April 2024 to 3 October 2024, there has been an improvement in terms of both the unplanned outages and the use of the diesel. That's where you can actually pick that they have saved about 11 billion in the past financial year. Within that particular year to date, they had spent more than 17 billion rands. So those are the actual figures that are in their actual Eskom report.
Comparing like for like. Thank you for that, for your insights this morning. That's Prof. Samson Mampweri, who is the head of Energy Secretariat at the South African National Energy Development Institute. Bringing us to 7 a.m. Time now for us to check in with Ann Musa for the latest news.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. Now that's good news.
In our top stories, police probe Gauteng learners' deaths and JSC interviews continue despite Hlophe's resignation. Good morning. Police have launched an investigation into an incident in which 5 Gauteng learners died after consuming suspected poisoned food. The Gauteng Education Department says the learners died in Soweto on Sunday. It says 3 are from the Karabo Primary School and 1 from the Gaugelo Primary School in the area. Another grade 1 boy is in hospital in the intensive care unit. In a separate incident, an 8-year-old boy from the Gaugelo Primary School died after consuming snacks he bought from a spaza shop in Naledi. Steve Mabona is the department's spokesperson.
Police are investigating circumstances surrounding these tragic incidents. The department, together with the affected schools, have already dispersed the necessary support, that is your psycho support, and just to make sure that there's necessary counseling that is provided at the school and the families.
The Judicial Service Commission, the JSC, says it's still waiting for the National Assembly Speaker, Toko Didiza's communication on the resignation of the Thulasizwe Party's parliamentary leader, Dr. John Hlophe's resignation from the body. The JSC says it will continue with its business despite Hlophe's resignation, which comes after the Western Cape High Court temporarily barred him from participating in the JSC activities. On Friday, the JSC said Hlophe was a designated commissioner, despite the interim court interdict. Yesterday, the commission started interviewing candidates to fill positions in various courts across the country. Advocate Sesi Baloyi says the interviews will continue.
We found out from you, the media, that Dr. Hlophe has resigned from the JSC. We've had a discussion. The position is that we haven't yet received any notification from the Speaker. Parliament, the body that informs the JSC about designations and any changes. The JSC hasn't received anything, so all we know is what we've had from you. And because we haven't had anything from the Speaker, the JSC has decided that we'll continue with the business that we have gathered this week for, because as matters stand, we don't have anything that causes us to not proceed with the interviews.
The North West Legislature's Standing Committee on Provincial Public Accounts, SCOPA, has criticized the Dutsibotla local municipality for failing to submit its statements for the 2022-2023 financial year. SCOPA committee summoned the municipality to account to it and the Provincial Treasury and Cooperative Governance Department, which have been supporting the troubled municipality. SCOPA chairperson Smuts Mate has instructed the municipality to submit all outstanding reports.
It can't be business as usual. You don't comply with the law and we say we are waiting for the next Christmas. It doesn't help work that way. You have to account. So administratively as well as politically, you have failed to implement what the law says. You had incidents wherein people thought that Ditsowotla is a hunting ground when you want to make money.
The United Nations is ready to assist South Africa in its preparation to take over the G20 presidency in December this year. Africa will host the G20 summit for the first time since the group was formed. The group includes industrialized nations such as the US, China, Germany and Russia. South Africa is the only African country that is part of this group. The UN Deputy Secretary General Dr. Amina Mohammed says the UN will participate in all the meetings that South Africa will convene ahead of the G20 gathering next year.
Let's first of all step back a bit. The last 4 leaderships have been from the South, and South Africa will represent the last of the 5. And it's very important that we consolidate on all the efforts that have been made by the Global South in order to get the issues of the developing world on the agenda, particularly the economic agenda, the global economic agenda.
And finally, police in Guatemala have raided 5 regional offices of the British aid agency Save the Children as part of an investigation into alleged child abuse. 6 months ago, police searched the organization's central office in Guatemala City. The BBC's Leonardo Rocha reports.
Local media recently reported that prosecutors have requested information from the authorities in Texas about the alleged involvement of the organization in smuggling children and teenagers across the U.S. border. In a statement released last month, Save the Children emphatically denied any involvement and said it was dedicated to the protection of children's rights in Guatemala. The prosecutor in charge of the case, Rafael Curruchiche, has been sanctioned by the United States and the European Union for attacks on democracy.
Recapping the top story, police have launched an investigation into an incident in which 5 Gauteng learners died after consuming suspected poisoned food. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Those were the top stories for this hour. Don't miss out on a possible car insurance saving. SMS out to 30754 for a quote. Outsurance, where you always get something out. Are you blowing your paycheck on car insurance every month? Monica, 39 from Three Rivers, pays just 1,515 Rand a month for her 2018 BMW 320i.
Give Outsurance a call. It's a win-win. You can't lose.
Real savings, real benefits. Here's Yusuf.
Help it out. The service was quick. Absolutely phenomenal service from Outsurance.
SMS out to 30754 now. That's out to 30754. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Pretty heavy into Galoolies again this morning, particularly for motorists coming through from the Ekurhuleni side. Quite a heavy backlog from Craft Road all the way through to connections onto the N3 North. Also, roadworks leaving the airport up towards the Benoni exit, so there's a queue there where you haven't been queuing for a while, and it looks like traffic finally starting to move better on the Mike 1 between Uncle Charlie's and Omonde, but you will hit big traffic this morning from Boyson through to about Parktown once you get up through the crowd. Very heavy backlogs just south of Durban, Isipingo and Umlazi. Multiple routes under pressure. It may be a power failure. We've seen some junctions without traffic lights, and of course it's raining, but if you're around Isipingo, Umlazi area, it just gives you plenty of time to get through. It really is very bad. Cape Town crash on the N2 inbound involving a taxi off the highway at the R300 in front of Khayelitsha. That's a big queue right back towards sort of Baden-Powell Drive, actually, and sand on the carriageway on Baden-Powell at Coastal Park. So some additional problems routing in from Khayelitsha and Mitchell's Plain area, heading across that coastal route towards Muizenberg. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
In your SFM sports headlines, there is action from the T20 World Cup. The women are in action, and it was an improved performance that saw England seal a 7-wicket win over the Proteas women. And in soccer news, Bafana coach Hugo Broos confirming that Talent Mbata has been withdrawn from the Bafana squad to face Congo Brazzaville. Let's find out more at around 7:30.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
Today is Tuesday, the 8th of October 2024, and it's just gone 9 minutes after 7. Good morning, South Africa. This is the second hour of the Morning Brief on SAFM. It is all the local and international news, current affairs, insights and opinions you need to lead the conversation today. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane, and I'm here to deliver your Morning Brief. I look forward to my conversation that is lined up with the National Police Commissioner, that is Fani Masemola. And you will know about the grievances. I think about 2 weeks ago or thereabouts, just after the massacre in Lusigisigi, I made my views known about my sense that the crime situation, violent crime in particular, has spiraled completely out of control, and my sense that I don't see much of a plan, to be honest. And I'm hoping that the police commissioner will be able to set me straight and demonstrate to me what the plan is. As you and I talk, there's been another incident of a mass shooting, and we can't keep lamenting and coming back to this. And I don't want to regurgitate what I said in that comment that I made about 2 weeks ago. The Competition Commission is telling us that consumers are now turning to boycotting, in a way, in a manner of speaking, some of their favorite items due to the high food prices, right? The Commission released the latest edition of the Essential Food Pricing Monitoring Report, and that was released on Friday last week. So we'll delve into that. Among the insights that it brings forward is that pilchards remain popular with households because of the switch that many are making to alternative sources of protein. But my goodness, the sense that people are now, deciding to go without some of their favorite food items and basically just try and afford the basics. It tallies with what the Pietermaritzburg institution that usually tracks the basket of goods and reports on it consistently. I think what the Competition Commission is saying actually tallies with that, the rising cost of living, but also specifically food prices. We have that interview lined up for you before the end of this hour, towards 8 o'clock, and we will have that conversation. And of course, we have all of your regulars lined up for you, and Musa will have your news updates every half hour. Rob Byrne with your traffic updates every 15 minutes or so. Zaikan is watching your sport throughout the morning.
Put a spring in your step with the Espresso Morning Show.
That's right. Join us for fresh ideas, blooming trends, and vibrant tunes that are sure to brighten your day.
Discover the best ways to enjoy the season's beauty, from garden tips to spring fashion.
Come on now. Plus, get inspired with lively interviews and my favorite, the latest in entertainment.
Basically, start your mornings right with us. That's weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. only on S3.
The Desert Warriors are looking for their third victory to maintain a 100% winning record. Togo are fighting for their first win after 2 draws in their opening 2 matches. This is the top of the table contest in Group E. Experience the journey to Morocco in the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Algeria versus Togo on Thursday, 10 October at 9 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The only talk radio morning breakfast show that makes sense. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
Yeah, and we will take your calls on these issues and others. In fact, even as I'm speaking to the National Police Commissioner, feel free to give me a call and weigh in. We will try and take a call or two if we can. And the number to do that is 086 000 2032. And I'll take your WhatsApp voice notes on 061 410 4107. Let's get into it then. The National Police Commissioner, General Fanima Simola, has been visiting the Eastern Cape with a delegation of top police officials following yet another mass shooting at the weekend. 6 community patrollers were gunned down and 4 more people wounded in an apparent ambush in Godini village in Qumbu. The patrollers were due to head out on a patrol when they were attacked by a gang of heavily armed suspects. This follows a mass shooting in Lusigisigi about a week and a half ago that left about 18 people dead. For more on this and general crime fighting in our country, I'm joined by the Police Commissioner General Fanima Simola. General, good morning. I've got to thank you for your time. I'd like for us to start with an update on the investigation into the latest shooting in Qumbu in Godini village. What can you tell us at this point?
Good morning, Thulasizwe and your listeners. The investigation is going quite well with regard to the Qumbu shooting. We do have positive leads. We are looking for between 6 and 10 suspects, and we know 3 of them positively. So we think we'll be able to resolve the case because the 3 are locals that are known. So we are hot on their heels. We think we'll be able to resolve the case quite speedily.
And what are you gleaning by way of what the motive was for this heinous crime?
The probable motive, even though the motive will really come out at court, the real motive, but what we pick up is It's more local issues, local matters between this village and another village, accusing one another of, the village rules. Is one of the things, disagreement on rules. Second one is issues of stock theft. Certain people shouldn't come to their area certain times. So those are what we pick up on the ground, but we wouldn't know if that is the real motive. But as soon as we arrest them and get them to court, we'll know the real truth.
And turning to the other recent massacre, that one in Thulasizwe, you had a breakthrough, you arrested 3 people, and you were talking there about investigations continuing. What are you able to tell us about whether or not there's going to be other arrests and how far you are from those other arrests?
With that first shooting, we are still where we are. We do not want to get too much in other things. It's only those 3 people that were arrested. 2 appeared. One appeared in Port St. John's Court. One appeared at Thulasizwe. One appeared at Flagstaff Court. And in the next appearance, they will be jointly in one of the courts, all 3 of them. And for now, we're still in. They appeared on other cases, not on the killing of the 18. So on the killing of the 18, we are still busy with our investigation. We will update the nation as we go along, but we do definitely have some leads in this case.
Commissioner, part of the comment I've been making and other listeners have been making is a lack of a sense of an overarching strategy that is implementable, that is resourced, that is actually being implemented right now to combat crime. So to be fair to you, would you take the next minute and a half or 2 minutes just explaining what are the main tenets of the strategy you are implementing? What are you doing about the crime situation?
We have a national policing strategy that is overarching, that deals with what we are doing in terms of crime. And part of that national strategy is implementation plan on the ground, is what we call, firstly, this strategy consists of 5 pillars. It's intelligence gathering, it's proactive policing, which includes your visible policing and CPF, the combat approach, which we use mostly our highly specialized team to intervene, and the fourth is we do investigation, be it general investigation or the organized crime approach investigation, and lastly, of course, we communicate the results that we have. That is the basic strategy that we implement in terms of our national policing strategy. And when it comes to implementation, we have our Operation Chanela, which is a part of our implementation.
Yeah.
And it is going well. Capacitation of the strategy, yes. You would recall we have got limitation in terms of resources, but what we have is not to say we cannot implement the current force levels we have, the current resources that we have. They are not enough to where we would like them to be, but we are implementing with the resources that we have, and we are managing in the fight against crime, and we keep on resourcing this strategy in terms of big vehicles, technology, and the numbers. You would recall last Friday, we had about 700 new constables that have passed out, and we're going to resource areas like your detectives over the 2 years with about 4,000, the intelligence with 1,000. So, but it doesn't mean the current capacity that we have is sitting back. No, we are implementing.
What's stopping you from having a strategy that recovers firearms from society? Many of these crimes have one thing in common. The shootings that we're talking about now have one thing in common. Heavy weaponry, weapons of war, they call them, automatic rifles. In peacetime South Africa, how difficult can it be for you as a police organization to have a strategy that permanently removes firearms and makes it difficult for new firearms to be introduced in our society? Because right now, from where we sit, as South Africans, it feels like we are failing to do that.
We keep on taking firearms out of the community, Thulasizwe. Since we started Chanela last year to now, we have taken away more than 8,000 illegal firearms from the community. But remember, the market to source these illegal firearms is one of the areas that as we are removing, yes, they are also entering that market. Remember, the illegal firearms starts first as legal firearms. The firearms in possession of the South Africans, which they do have them with legal licenses. At some point, those firearms become illegal. Firearms in the hands of law enforcement, at some point, they become illegal firearms. Not long ago, you'd recall, at Bizana, 7 police were ambushed, 7 pistols and 2 rifles were taken away. So those firearms, they're going to become fit in the illegal market. So we keep on removing them, and we'll not stop. We'll keep removing.
I hear you. I hear you, Commissioner. And to me, it just sounds like what I always say: paralysis by analysis. We understand, and you've outlined over many years where the firearms come from. What I was asking about is a plan to remove them. You talked about 8,000 that you're saying you've retrieved through Operation Chanela, and my suggestion to you is that it's just not nearly enough. And as far as plugging the holes of a firearms market, you're just not doing enough.
Thulasizwe, is not that we are not doing enough, like I said to you. As we remove 8,000, at the same time, there is a number. You go and look how many South Africans have lost their own firearms for the same period. Those firearms, they go fit the illegal market. The society have the right to have licenses, and these firearms at some point, they go back to fit the illegal market. But
part of that, though, Commissioner, I suggest
we do have
that
strategy. Yeah. As I said, intelligence looking for firearms in various areas, and we keep confiscating them. Yeah. We destroyed over 30,000 not long ago, which we have permanently moved them out of the society.
Lastly, I want to say of the 5 pillars, the other pillars that seem to be particularly weak as far as South Africans are concerned is your intelligence, which was your first pillar, but also proactive policing. There's just no patrols, Commissioner. I can tell you now, I could carry something that's illicit and drive from here to Cape Town. The likelihood of being stopped on a roadblock that would have me change my plans of transporting that illicit substance or whatever item is very low. I would just take the N1 and drive from here to Cape Town, and there's a high likelihood that I will make it to Cape Town without having been stopped. Criminals are not needing to factor you guys into their planning because you're just not there.
I'm definitely sure at Collersburg you'll find a roadblock. In Kimberley you'll find a roadblock. At Beaufort West you will never pass there. You will find a roadblock, and that's where you confiscate a lot of goods. Even on the other side, N6, you will find those roadblocks. Yes,
but that's just used as an example. So it could be any route that I choose in South Africa. Yes,
correct. Yes. We do have stop and searches, roadblocks now and then. And those operations are continuing. Each province have operations, and we keep on doing these stop and searches and roadblocks and operations, continent searches. So we continue, and we get a lot of successes out of that.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time and your inputs this morning. That is Fani Masemola. General Fani Masemola is the National Police Commissioner.
Spring is in the air, and it's almost time for SA Garden Day on Sunday, 20 October. Celebrate your garden with a tea party, a luncheon, or simply lying down with a good book. Invite friends, family, or neighbors to appreciate your garden. Visit gardenday.co.za for ideas and inspiration. And remember to upload your flower crown selfie to social media, the ultimate Garden Day accessory. Mark your calendar. SA Garden Day, Sunday, 20 October.
Outsurance are experts in what they do.
They get to understand what type of business are you doing so that they can insure you properly.
It actually validates why we're with them. If you haven't called Outsurance yet, what are you waiting for?
Switch to Business Outsurance today and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. SMS quote to 43328. That's quote to 43328 to switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The Blue Sharks want to dive deep and secure 3 points to keep the second position in Group C. While the Zebras of Southern Africa are searching for their first win, they want to escape from the basement. Who will enjoy the final whistle dance of celebration? This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco. Cape Verde versus Botswana on Thursday, 10 October at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
You are listening to the Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
So I want to bring in Dr. Lumgile Mondi, who is political economist and senior lecturer of economics and business science at Wits University. And part of that conversation is about reflections on the government of national unity. You will know that according to some, the formation of the GNU has triggered a wave of positive sentiment not seen in years, spurring a hope that South Africa's economy may finally be finding its footing. But also there's that concern about its stability, particularly given recent frictions between coalition partners. Let's speak to Dr. Lumgile Mondi. Lumgile, good morning. I've got to thank you for your time. So your own reflections in as far as the economy is concerned. Has the government of national unity and its formation been a boon for the economy, or is it early days to tell? Lumgile, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please proceed. Just your reflections on the first 100 days of the GNU and its impact on the economy.
I think many listeners, Mr. Simelane, know very well that South Africa has been struggling to create opportunities for employment. More importantly, also, infrastructure has been falling apart. And of the black government rule there's been dismal in improving the lives of this South Africa's charm.
Lumgile, I'm sorry, I'm battling to hear you. The line is breaking up a little bit. Why don't you do what people used to do in the early days of cell phone signal? Just please move around a little bit. Let's see if we can get better reception and give it a try.
Let's move and you know whether it's better now.
Yes, it's slightly better. Please proceed.
I think South Africa has experiencing a deepening of unemployment and inequality, with really difficulties under the ANC government to meet basic needs of people. And the book spoke.
Yeah, Lumgile, I'm terribly sorry. This line is not doing justice to the conversation, and I don't think our listeners are able to hear you. We will try and call you back and reschedule. That is Lumgile Mondi there, who is a political economist and senior lecturer of economics and business science at Wits University. Just battling with the line. We will try and line up that conversation with Lumgile once again.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let me take one of your calls. Let's speak to Makashule. Is this Makashule Ghana? You want to talk about reaction? Want to react to the conversation we've had with the National Police Commissioner? Good morning to you.
Yes, good morning to you, Thulasizwe. Just a couple of things. One, it's very clear that the ability of the state to protect its citizens is being challenged heavily by criminals. And what's happening in the Eastern Cape needs a very, very strong response by both the South African Police Service and the National Prosecuting Authority. Because it's just not enough to arrest someone today and there's no proper investigation, there's no prosecution that sends them to jail. And the second thing, Thulasizwe, and you are raising a very important issue in terms of the guns. One of the things that we have to look at is the guns that are in the hands of private security companies. that even when they are sometimes lost, it's not properly recorded and so forth, and many security officers get overpowered by criminals in many of these, whether it's the robberies or the cash in transit, and these rifles get taken from there. So there's heavy weaponry that's in the hands of private security. That's something that we have to look at, to see how best do we then remove these guns that are killing so many South Africans. Thanks very much.
Makashule, thank you. That's Makashule Kana. They're weighing in on that interview we had a bit earlier on with the National Police Commissioner. At 7:30, let's check in with N. Musa with the latest news headlines.
Good morning. Thanks to us. In the headlines, National Police Commissioner, General Fani Masimula has confirmed that the lead show that residents of Godini village in Kumbu in the Eastern Cape could be linked to the gunning down of 6 people on Sunday. The deceased are members of the area's community policing forum. Police have launched an investigation into an incident in which 5 Gauteng learners died after consuming suspected poison food. And the United Nations says it's ready to assist South Africa in its preparation to take over the G20 presidency in December this year. Africa will host the G20 summit for the first time since the group was formed. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Update on the top story that we had earlier today. The crash in at Ormonde on the Mike 1 North causing amazing delays. It's all being cleared. That section of the roadway flowing again, but you will hit traffic just a little bit further from Gold Reef City all the way to about Oxford Road in Parktown. It's absolutely jam-packed. This crash before Galuli, so the N12 and R24 routes coming in from Ekurhuleni, both backed up again this morning as you drive into that crash. Also a collision leaving Davyton on the N12 at Pitfontein, so queuing pressure through towards the Benoni area, and roadworks leaving the airport on the R21 North before the R23 Benoni exit. That is causing quite a backlog of traffic. Just south of Durban, it looks like maybe power supply problems on top of the rain, gridlocking through Isipingo and Umlazi. If you're coming out of those areas, make sure you've got plenty of time to get through. Also some big traffic on the N2 between Amansam Toti and Prospector. And lights are down on the M7 at South Coast Road, so there's heavy backlogs through there, and the M7 going into St John's Avenue Bridge territory in Pinetown without lights, very heavy again this morning. Cape Town, a crash on the N2 inbound at Khayelitsha is being cleared. Baden-Powell remains a problem. Sound on the carriageway at Coastal Park, very slow on that Muizenberg bound carriageway. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Generally, my disposition when I say is towards good news. So,
take it away.
I should censor you when you come in here with bad news, and you have bad news on the cricketing front.
Tough day again, this time for our Proteas women. And I think both the men and the women having to deal with a bit of a sticky wicket. But hey, our South Africans, we can't be kept down for too long.
Oh, absolutely.
So, that we'll come back and we'll bounce back stronger. And that's how the Proteas women will look into this T20 World Cup clash. Yesterday, they just fell short, losing by 7 wickets with 4 balls to spare. It was England's Natsiva Brunt who led the charge with an unbeaten 48, while South Africa's Laura Wolfart, she top-scored with 42. Marizanne Kapp was dropped to a rather unfamiliar 4th in the batting order. Let's hear from Captain Wolfart, who defended the veteran all-rounder's workload.
Yeah, she's traditionally batted 3 for us in the past, but Annika was striking it really well leading up to this, and Marizanne obviously has quite a hectic workload as a seaming all-rounder. But yeah, I think that's something that our batting coach Bakir has been thinking about for many hours in his room, and I'm sure he has a reason behind the lineup as it is. But yeah, definitely open to any changes.
More cricket, the Proteas men fell short against Ireland in their final ODI, losing by 69 runs, but managed to secure the series win 2-1. Ireland's captain Paul Stirling led the charge with 88 runs, while South Africa's Jason Smith fought valiantly with 91. Soccer, Bafana coach Hugo Broos confirming that Talent Mbata has been withdrawn from the Bafana squad to face Congo Brazzaville in their 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier in Gqeberha Gqeberha come Friday. Mbata was withdrawn after scans confirmed a knee injury following his team Orlando Pirates' participation in the MTN8 final. Bruce revealed that he's been replaced by Mamelodi Sundowns' Batusi Obas.
Well, first of all, you all saw the game of Saturday. So we saw that Talente was going off the field, so we knew that he was injured. But we get also news from Pirates saying that Patrick Masangani was also injured and that they needed to do a scan. So it was yesterday, Sunday, so no scan. So they did it this morning. Talente will not be with us, so he has a knee injury, can't be with us, so he stayed in Joburg. Patrick was no problem, nothing to see on scan, so he will arrive today.
More soccer news. This time, Paul Pogba has had his 4-year ban for doping reduced to 18 months after appealing to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The ruling means the France World Cup winner will be free to resume his career in 2025, having begun his suspension in February. The Juventus midfielder tested positive for testosterone in August last year and was then handed the maximum punishment by Italy's anti-doping court. And finally, netball news. In one of the most exciting finals since the start of the competition, UFS Kovsis beat UJ 58-55 in extra time in Bloemfontein to be crowned the 2024 Varsity Netball Champions. This is the 5th time Kovsis lifted the trophy, while UJ were defeated for the 2nd year running in the final. We'll have more sport on the morning brief at the top of the hour. For SFM, I'm Zaikan.
The Business Update on SAFM.
Let's turn to Ndauling Lichela for that update. Ndauling, how do you pronounce this, the name of this company? Is it Richmond or is it Richmond?
The South African in me says Richmond, considering that the chairman of the company is South African. So I'm going to go with Richmond.
I've heard Richmond. So they are selling their online fashion platform. Why is that?
So we're really seeing a lot of M&A activity taking place in the second half. And as you're saying, we're seeing Richmond selling its online retail space, platform. The Cartier owner is selling its loss-making online retailer Yux Net-a-Porter. The deal, which comes 10 months after a previous plan to sell YNAP to rival Farfetch collapsed. Now, the current deal with My Teresa will see no cash change hands. Instead, Richmond will take a 33% stake in My Teresa, which also sells luxury goods online, in exchange for transferring YNAP along with its existing cash balance and access to a 6-year debt facility. Now, the merged entity will operate 3 separate luxury e-commerce platforms, including My Teresa, Net-a-Porter, and Mr. Porter. By sharing infrastructure, the brands will leverage synergies and streamline operations while maintaining their individual brand personalities. Now, market response to the move has been quite mixed. While the deal has been welcomed, analysts say it leaves Richmond in a worse cash position, and that the sale means the luxury company is admitting that online was not its game, considering that YNAP has been loss-making for a few years now. Now, the new transaction is expected to close in the first half of next year, subject to customary conditions, including regulatory approvals.
Speaking of luxury items, diamonds. We're told they're a girl's best friend. Are they your best friend?
They are my best friend.
I knew the answer even
that
before
I can't afford them.
De Beers is predicting that things will start to look up in the diamond market, are they?
That's right. Now, this comes after a tough year. The world's largest diamond producer, De Beers, predicts a brighter future for the precious stone. De Beers Group's managed operations CEO, Moses Madondo, says decreasing supply and increasing demand will improve the outlook. Global diamond production dropped 8% in 2023, and new discoveries are rare, with only one commercial find in the 21st century. Madondo expects diamond supply supply to decline this year due to mine closures, but temporary increases are expected in 2025. Meanwhile, demand for natural diamonds is projected to grow 3% annually until 2030, driven by the US and Indian markets, and this despite slower growth in China. Diamond miners have also had to contend with producers of lab-grown diamonds, which has weighed on demand. That market is also expected to improve. Analysts are pegging annual growth of 6.6% for lab-grown diamonds between 2024 and 2033, rather.
Yeah, I saw that massive stone, one of the biggest that was found in Botswana recently. The president of that country holding it in his hand.
It seems like diamonds are his best friend.
They definitely are. Hopefully, of course, that value chain continues to be fruitful for the people of Botswana. Lastly, Ndaoling, a recap of the close in the US, Asian markets, as well as how we closed on the JSE yesterday.
Kicking off in Asia, Chinese stocks surged to multi-year highs this morning as trading resumed after a week-long break, fueled by investor enthusiasm for Beijing's bold stimulus measures. However, this optimism failed to spread to other Asian markets, with Hong Kong stocks reversing some of their recent gains. Zooming in on those indices, the Shanghai index is up 4.6%, while the Hang Seng trends lower, down 5.7%. In Wall Street, futures are flat, just below the flat line. Traders still chewing on the U.S. jobs print ahead of inflation data that will be released later this week. Back at home, a flat finish for the all share yesterday, down 0.03%. In the currency scene, we're seeing a combination of the stronger dollar and geopolitical jitters just weighing on the rand. It's trading below the 17 rand mark to the greenback.
All right, thank you for that. That's Ndaoling Lechela there with your business update in this hour. Look out for one more from Ndaoling, another update after 8:30 and just shortly before the JSE resumes trade at 9 a.m.
Africa Update on SAFM.
And for that, let's turn to Advocate Sipho Mantula. Good morning to you, Raz. Let's start in Mozambique, rightly so. It's headed to the polls again, as we've been talking, and the issues include the jihadist insurgency and drought in Mozambique. What is being said in the final days of campaigning?
Reflection morning, Thulas and Jamba to the listeners. Indeed, Thulas, the campaigns ended on Sunday, but when you look at the Democratic Movement of Mozambique, the ruling party Frelimo, and the independent candidate Venancio Mondlane, all talking about dealing with the Cabo Delgado issue as they were campaigning in the Pemba province of Cabo Delgado, the capital city. They've raised this issue of dealing with the insurgency and conditions of development being very key when you look at Mozambique. But also, just to update our listeners of yesterday, the numbers to us, the SADC have already sent 52 observers who will be part of this election observation. But, you know, Daniel Chapo is being seen as one of the person who will be the key person for Frelimo, who will have to bring the challenges that are facing Mozambique. The issues of corruption to us, we cannot leave them, but as we say, 24 hours before Mozambique decides tomorrow, we'll be giving our listeners blow to us even tomorrow about what to expect on these elections that are very decisive in the SADC region.
Yeah, and in Ethiopia, I see that there's been a change of leadership at the very top, the head of state.
It's a deficit also. We are reducing the numbers of heads of state in Africa being women, from Samia Silu, from Sahle-Work, who was the president of Ethiopia, appointed by Abiy Ahmed. So they will say normally the presidential position in Ethiopia is ceremonial. Now there's a rift, alleged rift between her and Abiy Ahmed. Hence the foreign affairs minister was appointed in February. Taye Atake Selassie is now the president of Ethiopia, who was also, we saw him speaking at the UNGA 79. It was already showing to us that they were already even preparing. Some of the issues with the former president, that there was a tussle, it was conflict management to us of the Oromia and the Amara regions, as well as the Tigray region, how it was handled. Now, as I said to you, the current president who's been appointed, he has served as a diplomat both at the UN and Egypt, and others, I say, is very close to Abiy Ahmed.
And on this story, Sipho, while the newsmaker may be South African, it's a story of continental import. That is the former President Thabo Mbeki communicating about the outcomes of the Africa Peace and Security Dialogue. What is he saying?
it was very important that it was not just a talk, but it was a workshop and talking the work of African conflict resolution, architect of peace and security. That then after you have spoken, what then, Thulas? Are you just putting the report on the shelves? No, Thulas. The AU, the regional economic bodies in Africa, the BRICS countries, the G20, as South Africa gets up to be a chair, Thulas, in 2025. This meeting was also to look at the conflicts in Sudan, in the Sahel, and also to look at the forthcoming AU chair, to say who must be that character, who should be taking the challenges of the African continent. So the former president and other ministers of defense and international relations, they were able to come out very clear and say we need an African common position on rebooting the AU. I think most of the issues that came from that dialogue was more about the rebooting and the media coverage being important of covering the African continent conflict that have been ignored or deleted in the editor's servers.
Yeah, and you and I touched on this story a few days ago, the French-Rwanda connection and the tension, at times tense relationship since the genocide in 1994. Tell me a bit more about this French-Cameroonian writer, Charles Onana, who is due to go on trial in Paris.
This writer has been accused by the government that in one of his writings he was complicit in fueling the Rwanda genocide. Now his lawyers are trying to defend this to say, as you know, that what has happened there, as a political researcher, he has undertaken this research to look at what happened before the genocide, during the genocide, and after that genocide that we know it killed many people, and that is the indictment to the UN also. But this case, Thulas, is also what I said, that we have many remnants of people who are accused of have caused genocide in Rwanda, who are exiled in France, but they are also being tried in France rather than back in Rwanda, and hence you find that Macron called this meeting over this weekend also to deal with the issues of Rwanda and DRC, and some of them will include the issues of transitional justice in Rwanda, but it appears the writers, Thulas, are also being censored in the African continent.
And lastly, Sipho, I'm always intrigued and fascinated by your historical archives, but I must say, today you've outdone yourself. You're taking us to 8 October 1962, Mbube.
Wow, Thulas, the lion sleeps tonight. A song that has been covered for many times. We are talking of the passing of Solomon Popoli Linda, a singer and a composer. And issues of his IP rights, Thulas, intellectual property, that was never handled. I think last year when President Ramaphosa gave the family order of Ikamanga to recognize those who have excelled in arts, culture, literature, music, journalism, and sports, Solomon Popoli Linda was also remembered, Thulas, and the issue was to honor and restore his dignity. And as we said, Mbube, Thulas, was taken by many cover versions, more than 80 or 100, but the family get royalties has been a contestation for some time. Asante sana, Thulas, as I still in the conversation, SFM observing the Africa Human Rights Month.
Have a great day. That is Sipho Mantula there with your Africa update here on the Morning Brief.
So why should I use We Buy Cars if I want to sell my vehicle?
Because We Buy Cars buys cars.
But will I get the right price?
Of course. We Buy Cars buys thousands of vehicles and knows exactly what every vehicle is worth. Their buyers deliver exceptional service and pay you immediately.
And how do I know what they'll pay for my vehicle?
It's easy. Visit webuycars.co.za or use the We Buy Cars app. Follow the simple steps and voila, you'll know your car's value in no time. We Buy Cars. Quick, easy, the best.
The Leopards and Taifa Stars have a big battle in the top-of-the-table clash. DRC is only interested in 3 points to maintain their winning rhythm, while the East Africans also want victory to sustain their unbeaten run in Group H. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco, DR Congo versus Tanzania on Thursday, 10 October at 6 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Just confirming the earlier crash on Monday this morning, which backed everything up from Uncle Charlie's, has been cleared, but the Mike 1 remains heavy. Queues from Gold Reef City right through now to about the Smith Street exit. Another dreadful morning through Galulis. In fact, pretty much a run that you went through yesterday. Got a crash north of Galulis up by Linksfield Road on the N3, so that's very heavy coming up from the Elands interchange side all the way through Bedfordview and into Edenvale. And behind that, you've got a crash on the M12 and R24 routes coming in from Ekurhuleni journey at Giluli's interchange as well. And then after that, you queued sort of on the flyover into that crash on the N3 North at Edenvale. So pretty much an exactly same run as yesterday. Roadworks on the R21 leaving the airport up towards the Benoni exit. There's some heavy pressure there that you might not be used to. And there's a stationary truck on William Mandela Drive around Republic Road. Now, this is causing a major backlog into Sandton. William Mandela coming from Bryanston High School, Republic Road out of Bryanston or out of Randburg, and Peter Place out of Bryanston. Very heavy down to William Mandela. A lot of traffic backlogging on Ballyclare coming off William Mandela on the way to Sandton, looping around the other way, trying to get through a bit quicker. So it's a real bit of a mess through there. Durban, it's been raining this morning, so take it easy. Everything on a go slow, particularly the Isipingo and Umlazi areas. There's a lot of congestion you might not be expecting. Lights are down to M7 South Coast Road, very heavy all over that. The M4 from the N2 split up through towards the M7 off-ramp is also heavily backlogging this morning. And Cape Town, Marine Drive, busy again today. Tableview, Sunset Beach, and then Racecourse Road to the Paddocks all the way through Pardon Island territory. And a crash on Lisbik Parkway at Station Road. Just expect some delays there. That's around the new Amazon buildings. Quite heavy coming up from Observatory and Mowbray into that area. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week as contestants bake for a spot in the top 5. But to make it through, they must overcome their most ambitious challenge yet, designing, baking and decorating their dream birthday cake. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7, repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
The world's best football league makes its return to S3. Will Arsenal finally win their first title since 2004? Or will Man City continue their dominance of the league and win their 7th title under Pep Guardiola? Will the Dutchmen in Erik ten Hag and Arne Slot have something to say as Man United and Liverpool step in to contest for the title? But it's not only about winning the title. For some of the 20 teams, it's a chance to improve on their performances from last season. While for others, it's the battle to avoid relegation and stay in the top flight. Every team has a point to prove. This is not just football. This is a masterpiece being played out every weekend. Channel your best sport with the English Premier League. Saturdays at 3 p.m. on S3. Open up.
S3. Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
All right, let me take a quick call before I go to the next story now. Let's speak to Moses, who is in Bramley. Moses, good morning to you. You want to talk about the police minister or the police commissioner?
The police commissioner.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, you've asked him about the roadblocks. These are something that it's actually of importance, that if maybe roadblocks were put all over, particularly on a busy weekend, we would actually try and curb the ills that we are seeing in this country. And for the police, we're now Thulasizwe. Instead of being law enforcers, they are jojo collectors. We cannot have people who are to be there to protect people and they are collecting jojo. Even those roadblocks we are talking about, if they found something that is illicit and that person is having money, they will get away with it because they will collect money and we are in for it. This country, we are corruption infested, and we cannot get any help because some of the cases, they are being bought when they are on the roll from the prosecutors, and we had stories when people are in trouble that my case was bought from the prosecutors, and we are in trouble in this country.
What is said?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know who can save us from these people. Really, we definitely go back and said why the regime will remove them, because what we are seeing now,
No, I wouldn't go that far, Wena Moses. It is possible to pressure the current administration and government we have without, reflecting in that way that you are doing about the old apartheid regime. I wouldn't go as far, but I take your point. The whole thing about roadblocks and visible policing, it was a key cog in how we delivered a safe 2010. So, guys, we're not making up stuff here. We know what visible policing looks like because we saw it when we had visitors in 2010. Why can't we do it for ourselves permanently going forward and all these other strategies? That, for me, is the fundamental question.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
Let's bring you this story now. The Competition Commission says consumers are continuing to boycott some of their favorite items due to high food prices. The Commission released the latest edition of the Essential Food Pricing Monitoring Report on Friday last week. The watchdog has been monitoring the prices of essential foods since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020. I'm joined now by Trudy Brookman, who is a consumer analyst and consumer law expert. Thank you for this opportunity this morning, Trudy. So the issue around the impact of lower prices and the easing of inflation, it seems to me, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that there's an easing at the farm gate, but we continue to see food prices being unaffordable at the shelves. And if I'm correct in that proposition, please tell us what in the value chain is leading to that trend.
Yes, you're describing it very well. So we're seeing load shedding not being a current problem. We're seeing the stronger rand against the dollar. We're seeing lower fuel prices on the horizon, but nevertheless, these easing factors have not translated into a reduction in food prices. In fact, they even where we have a situation with chicken and eggs, where we had an outbreak of avian flu last year, which obviously put enormous pressure, and most of the cost of that was absorbed by the farmers. A little bit of that, especially with eggs, was passed on to the consumers. It's a year ago now, but egg prices have not come down. So if we look at the impact of these high food prices, we are seeing, in terms of the great report from the Competition Commission, a few worrying trends. Consumers are switching to lower cost products. So, for example, instead of buying meat, we're buying tins of canned pilchards, where we were previously maybe buying the premium brand. We're buying the Lucky Star pilchards. We're now switching to the no-name brand. But and those are questions of consumer choice, and maybe for those of us who are fairly comfortable, it's okay. But where we're dealing with people who are on grants, we are literally seeing now NGOs are reporting to us that your food grant doesn't cover your basic food needs. The food poverty line sits at 796 Rand. If you have a grant and need to buy food for a family of 4 persons, even if you're spending every cent of your grant just on food for your family, then you only have 442 Rand. You needed 796 just to buy basic foodstuffs. So consumers are bleeding.
So just in terms of the food value chain, Trudy, is there something therein? I know that the Competition Commission watches for it, but I wonder if there is something that lends it to speculative behavior within the confines of our law and the structure of our economy, or the margins perhaps not being what you would expect in an open market such as ours, or has the Competition Commission not been able to find any of that in its recent reports, including this one?
I think if we read between the lines, the Competition Commission, they haven't made a particular finding on that in this report. But if one reads between the lines, you see Farmers are taking strain where there's an issue, for example, the avian flu. The consumer is taking strain, but it looks as though the retailers are holding their margin. And that is what happens in a capitalist society where there's a free market, and government can choose to intervene in certain situations like they did, for example, with the pricing of medicines. I'm wondering whether, well, we see the COSATU marches yesterday, right? Yes. And there's pressure on government saying, we're bleeding, we're struggling, we're not able to feed our kids. Can you intervene to make sure that there's greater justice in terms of the pricing that's coming through for consumers for basic foodstuffs that we need for our health and survival? I think there's a message like that going toward government as these, let's say, macroeconomic easing factors kick in. We'll see whether that really is necessary and whether that does lead to increased jobs, increased salaries. We'll have to see.
All right, I've got to leave it there. Thank you for your time and your insights this morning. That is Trudy Brookman, who is a consumer analyst and consumer law expert, bringing us to 8 a.m. Time now for a news update. Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. SMS car to 43187 now.
In our top stories, possible leads in Sunday's Eastern Cape mass murder and police probe suspected food poisoning deaths. Good morning. The National Police Commissioner General Fani Masimula has confirmed they have strong leads that show about 10 people, including 3 residents of Kudini village in Kumbu in the Eastern Cape, could be linked to the gunning down of 6 people in the area on Sunday. The deceased are members of the area's community policing forum. 4 other people were wounded. The latest shooting comes a week after 18 people were gunned down in Ngobozana village in Lusikisiki. Masimula, who visited the scene of the latest crime, explains what officers are looking for.
We are looking for between 6 and 10 suspects, and we know 3 of them positively. So we think we'll be able to solve the case. The 3 are locals that are known, so we are hot on their heels. We think we'll be able to resolve the case quite speedily.
Police have launched an investigation into an incident in which 5 Gauteng learners died after consuming suspected poison food. The Gauteng Education Department says the learners died in Soweto on Sunday. It says 3 are from the Karabo Primary School and 1 from the Kaugelo Primary School in the area. Another grade 1 boy is in hospital in the intensive care unit. In a separate incident, an 8-year-old boy from the Kaugelo Primary School died after consuming snacks he bought from a spaza shop in Naledi. The department spokesperson Steve Mabona has more on the deaths of the 4 deceased children.
Police are investigating circumstances surrounding these tragic incidents. The department, together with the affected schools, have already dispersed the necessary support, that is your psycho support, and just to make sure that there's necessary counseling that is provided at the school and the families.
Meanwhile, disgruntled residents of Naledi closed a foreign-owned spaza shop following the deaths of the children. Tabo Msimango is a parent of one of the children.
Initially, the kids yesterday bought snacks called brown dash from the foreign spaza shop. All of these kids are friends. All of them are under 10 years. It's been confirmed that one of them is at the hospital.
Limpopo Cooperative Governance MEC Basiko Pumakamu is today expected to introduce and administrate in the Tabazimbi municipality. The municipality has been placed under administration following the dissolution of council. 2 parallel DA and an ANC-led coalitions had been running the municipality. Michael Makungo reports.
MEC Makamo has appointed Paul Maseko as an administrator. Maseko will lead a team of 12 members. They will assume the responsibility with effect from today. In October 2022, the ANC formed a parallel council electing its mayor and speaker. As opposed to the DA-led coalition leadership, the municipality has been experiencing political and administrative challenges.
The United Nations says it's ready to assist South Africa in its preparations to take over the G20 presidency in December this year. Africa will host the G20 summit for the first time since the group was formed. The group includes industrialized nations such as the US, China, Germany and Russia. South Africa is the only African country that is part of this group. The UN Deputy Secretary General Dr. Amina Mohammed says the UN will participate in all the meetings that South Africa will convene ahead of the G20 gathering next year.
Let's first of all step back a bit. The last 4 leaderships have been from the South, and South Africa will represent the last of the 5. And it's very important that we consolidate on all the efforts that have been made by the Global South in order to get the issues of the developing world on the agenda, particularly the economic agenda, the global economic agenda.
Recapping the top story, the National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola has confirmed they have strong leads that show about 10 people, including 3 residents of Godini village in Kumbu in the Eastern Cape, could be linked to the gunning down of 6 people in the area on Sunday. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
And that's the news for this hour. Theft, accident and 1 million rand liability cover, all covered by Outsurance Essential. Get a quote today, SMS CAR to 43187. What's the hype about Outsurance Essential and how is it different to any other car insurance out there? Outsurance Essential is specifically designed and priced for older cars. After an accident, claims are paid in cash, so you can choose the panel beater you want to use. And now Outsurance also offers motor warranty for mechanical and electrical breakdowns. Get saving with Outsurance Essential for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 130,000 rand. SMS CAR to 43187. That's CAR to 43187 today. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's and information online.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very heavy getting into Sandton. There's a problem with a large truck stuck on Winnie Mandela Drive around Republic Road. So Winnie Mandela, Sandton bound from Bryanston High School is heavy. Peter Place backed up really badly back beyond Homestead, deep in the Bryanston territory. And Republic Road struggling out of Randburg across to that congestion and obstruction on Winnie Mandela. Also, a lot of traffic avoiding Winnie Mandela and electing to duck off through Ballyclare. So some quite heavy delays that side of Sandton as well. The bike one this morning stays heavy between Gold Reef City and around about Smith Street. Get past Smith Street and you do tend to get a move on. A crash on the N3 South at Modderfontein. Backlogging traffic coming from Alex into Edenvale. The N3 North stays heavy. Germiston up through to Modderfontein. N12 and R24 it's heavy into Galulis again today. A lot of traffic congestion around Durban, I guess primarily because of the rain. The M4 both ways at Virginia Airport absolutely jammed. Blue Lagoon through to Mshlanga, a real problem. The M4 Southern Freeway is heavy. Jacobs, Clearwood all the way up to the M7 off-ramp. There's no traffic lights M7 at South Coast Road, so that's heavy. And Cape Town today, a breakdown on the N1 inbound by Lower Church at Woodstock. It means traffic stays heavy on the N1 from Belleville. And behind that, you'll queue on Kuburg Road and on Marine Drive trying to get into that N1. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
A very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, it's soccer news as Bafana coach Hugo Bruges drops Jaden Adams from the Bafana squad for bad behaviour. And we also look at the gutsy Springbok women and their future as they had a slight 33-26 loss to Australia. All the details around 8:30.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
Hey, good morning, South Africa. We are into the third hour of this Tuesday edition of the Morning Brief here on SAFM. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane. It's good to have you with us. A number of conversations already started in the last 2 hours. I would like to reflect just briefly on the conversation we had just after 7 a.m. with the National Police Commissioner, that is General Fani Masemola, where among the things that came out of that is an appreciation, I guess, of what the strategy is at the heart of crime fighting in our country. You will have heard, if you were listening, the police commissioner saying that it rests on 5 pillars, being intelligence, proactive policing, that includes community policing as well as visible policing, the combat approach, and I imagine, he didn't say this, but I imagine that it would entail what we are seeing more and more, the deployment of the National Intervention Unit and, meeting force with force. That's just my imagination. That's the combat approach. The other pillar, the fourth one, being investigations, whether general or specialized. And lastly, the commissioner told us that the last pillar of the strategy is communicating results. And I suppose that's also important to instill a sense of confidence in communities. And then to top it all off, the commissioner talking about Operation Chanela being more of that operation that drives crime fighting in our country. I will take your reflections on that, but also other stories that we have covered this morning, including the reflections of the ANC on the first 100 days of the Government of National Unity, as well as the ructions that has caused within the African National Congress itself. I do have all of your regulars again in this hour, but as I said, we want to make as much time as possible to have a conversation with you and lead the conversation together. Give me a call. The number for that is 086 000 2032, and I'll take your WhatsApp voice notes on 061 410 4107. The third hour of the morning brief starts now.
Assurance, they understand my business. They are so good in terms of communication, which gives me confidence. It's a good decision that I've made to move to Assurance. I'm a winner. I want to be with the winners.
Switch to Business Outsurance today and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. SMS quote to 43328. That's quote to 43328 to switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The world's best football league makes its return to S3. Will Arsenal finally win their first title since 2004? Or will Man City continue their dominance of the league and win their 7th title under Pep Guardiola? Will the Dutchman in Erik ten Hag and Arne Slot have something to say as Man United and Liverpool step in to contest for the title? But it's not only about winning the title. For some of the 20 teams, it's a chance to improve on their performances from last season. While for others, it's the battle to avoid relegation and stay in the top flight. Every team has a point to prove. This is not just football. This is a masterpiece being played out every weekend. Channel your best sport with the English Premier League. Saturdays at 3 p.m. on S3. Open up.
S3. Call Thulasizwe now. 086 000 2032.
All right, let's take some of your calls now. We've had quite a number of conversations this morning already, and many of them have to do, I see that much of the reaction that you want to share with us this morning has to do with policing in this country. Let's waste no time and go straight to Nsikana, who is out in Durban. Nsikana, good morning. You want to talk to me about policing?
Good morning, Mr. Simelane. The first thing I want to say is that we all seem to be looking at the current situation in the policing, in what is happening in the policing situation. And there is a sociological construct which paraphrased says you cannot look at what is happening currently without looking in the past. I just want to go into the past a little bit and mention that President Nelson Mandela appointed Fivers, who was a career policeman.
Sure.
Then President Mbeki changed that and appointed Jackie Silebi, who had never been a policeman. And that habit continued with his successor, who appointed people like Peditele and Ria Pierre. But in all that mix, a lot of things have happened that have damaged the police, like the fact that one of your callers from Port Elizabeth mentioned that Peditele, in trying to resolve the massacre in Kwazakele, actually wrote in Richard Mdluli, a rogue cop who had actually been sentenced. And nobody has seemed to pick that up. But the point I'm trying to make is that in all this situation, the policing situation has been diluted by people who know nothing about policing. And I'm not going to go into the reasons for these leaders for doing that. They are well known. But in going back to your response to Moses, to what Moses was saying, you need to look at the article in last Sunday Times of the elderly man who was a survivor in terms of what he saw after the whole massacre had taken place.
Nsikana, I've got to thank you for your time and your
think
inputs.
About that before you make that remark.
All right, that's all good, Nsikana. I appreciate what you are saying. I guess what I'm saying is that I'm not. I don't appreciate her pining for apartheid, and I guess the regime is in its entirety. And I don't think this needs to be said in 2024. But I hear what you're saying, Nsikana, that where there are lessons that could be drawn in how things were done, say for investigations and policing, without glorifying it, I take that point, and I'm not accusing the caller of having glorified apartheid in any way, but I think I get the point that you are making when Nsikana this morning. Let's go to Ubegi in Mbombela. Begi, you also want to talk to me about the police commissioner in the interview this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mnagethu.
You know, Nguni, you are talking to a former police officer.
Mm-hmm.
You are talking to an attorney. What we are speaking about, we are talking about my territory.
Yeah.
I've spent over 17 years being a police officer. When you speak about visible policing, police must be visible. And that is a deterrent factor to crime. And people will never commit any crime when they see police in uniform in the streets, they see police uniform wherever they are, police in uniform. Nowadays, what is happening is a disgrace. It's so painful that the commissioner will come to the national radio station and speak about crime prevention that we don't see. There are no police. Police are nowhere to be seen. You can. I don't want to single out Nelspruit. I don't want to single out. Go to each and every town, even a small town like Sabi. You'll never see police visibility. You'll never see police patrolling.
Yeah.
We need to see that happening. Secondly, Nguni, the point that I'm going to make, it's the incompetency. What made me left police is because of the incompetency of the commanders. I'm sorry to say this. I'm not being personal. But you cannot have a person who's having having standard 8, a grade 10, who will be your commander. And you are, you are a graduate. And whenever there are regulations that are being put in place and that need to be analyzed, and you are trying to make sense to this person, he will tell you that we're working this way and this way.
I've got to leave it there, Begi. I've got to leave it there. Unfortunately, I do need to move on. Thank you so much for your inputs there, Begi. And I think the points you make are well made. One of the things I will say in addition to that, Begi, is that in terms of visible policing, we cannot run away from the fact that there were a couple of years where there were no new police recruits that were added to the system. The population was growing in that time. Yes, that has been fixed. We have seen new cohorts coming in, but is it at the scale and pace that it's supposed to be? Secondly, the issue around professionalizing the police. We had that conversation a few years ago in the wake of the July riots of 2020. Was it 2021? And it was said, professionalizing the police and making sure that people are getting trained and you need a degree, etc., etc. I wonder to what extent we have taken that conversation forward. forward. Kwezi, in Qumbu, you want to talk about the killings. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Thulas. Kunjani?
Ngiyaphila kunjani?
Khona mfowethu. Thulas, I was listening to your interview with the National Police Commissioner. The inference one can draw out of that interview is that the crime-fighting strategy that he was at pains trying to elaborate is fragmented. That's number one. So you cannot have a crime-fighting strategy that rests on 5 pillars that do not speak to each other.
Sure.
So we are bound to fail. Second, the crime-fighting strategy that the National Police Commissioner was referring to does not seem to be well-resourced, because you need to resource the strategy in terms of human resources and in terms of the budget, and have a comprehensive plan, a short-term, a medium-term, and a long-term plan of implementing that strategy. But I don't hear the National Police Commissioner talking about that. And we are reaping the rewards of the endemic corruption that has beset our nation for more than a decade. As a result, the police service has been hollowed out, and the police service is devoid of intelligence capacity.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for that input. That is Kwezi there out in Qumbu talking about his take on the conversation we had with the police commissioner, Fani Masemola, just after 7 a.m. here on the Morning Brief.
Health experts say that taking care of your baby starts the day you learn you have conceived. Changes should start immediately, from what you eat to how you take care of yourself. After you've delivered your baby, does the worry stop? No, it doesn't. From there, it's clinic visits, breastfeeding, introducing solids, and the list goes on. If you are a mom, father, or caregiver and are curious on how to support your kids' development to reach their full potential, or even concerned about the nutrition that strengthens their bodies, then our new SABC Education feature, Side by Side, is for you. Get all the advice you need from the Department of Health by tuning in every Wednesday and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. on The Full Circle on SAFM, starting in October. Tune in to the feature and you could win 1,000 Rand with our monthly competition. Side by Side, brought to you by SABC Education on SAFM, leading the conversation.
The Leopards and Taifa Stars have a big battle in the top of the table clash. DRC is only interested in 3 points to maintain their winning rhythm, while the East Africans also want victory to sustain their unbeaten run in Group H. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco, DR Congo versus Tanzania on Thursday, 10 October at 6 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
The Science of Life on SAFM.
I've been looking forward to this conversation, I must say, and I don't know if you look up in the sky to the sky in the evenings, if you can see it with your eye or with what they call a garden telescope, one of those gadgets I have that I always battle to use. A small asteroid is currently orbiting Earth, and it's known as a mini-moon. The asteroid will provide scientists a unique chance to study near-Earth objects and their orbital behavior. The orbit started on the 29th of September 2024 and will take a total of 53 days. I'm joined now by Professor Lerotodi Leo, who is Professor of Physics and Astronomy at the University of the Western Cape. I like 2024 PT5, Prof. Tell me a bit more about it. It's been described as Earth's second moon, but is it?
Yes, it is for those 53 days that you mentioned. It did come from an asteroid belt further out in the solar system, but it's now captured by Earth's gravity, and orbiting Earth for those days that you mentioned, just like our moon orbits Earth.
And after it's done orbiting, what does it do? Will it be headed towards Earth with the potential of something disastrous, or will it just simply go away?
No, it will leave Earth when, at the end of those days. So in this case, it's in the Earth's orbit because the gravity of Earth pulled it in. So at this stage, what we call the orbital speed, or the speed with which it orbits us, is balanced with the pull into Earth, and that's what keeps it in that nice orbit. And at some point, then that balance will be lost, and that is when it will safely leave Earth.
Yeah, and we're talking about an object that's not that big, is it? From estimations I saw, it's about the size of a house. So what are the implications for enthusiasts like myself being able to, at the very least, use a telescope to see it?
Yeah, so it's only a 10-meter object, so quite small, and very far at the moment, about 3 million kilometers, or 3.5 million kilometers away from Earth. That still makes it closer than things like Venus and Mercury, and that's why it's our mini moon at the moment. But because it's so small and far, it's hard to see it with naked eye. I mean, you can't see it with a naked eye, and it's also hard to see with a small telescope. So it's one of the bigger survey telescope that have ascertained its position and actually discovered it. And then some really serious computers have been able to compute how long its orbital motion and position to give us those exact dates that you mentioned.
So what are the benefits of having this object move that closely to Earth and our moon for you as scientists? What insights will you be able to glean while it's in this orbit?
Earth, we believe, formed together with the other objects in the solar system, so the larger planets, as well as smaller bodies that didn't coalesce into forming really, really big planets. And at the moment is one of those objects that come from the exterior part of the solar system. And so it being so close provides an opportunity for more detailed study of its characteristics, and in a sense then allows you to also probe this formation history of our solar system, what materials it was made of, and how it may have coalesced. So that's the opportunity it provides. And nowadays, there are some ambitious missions that go to some of these objects to actually capture material and bring it back to Earth. So those are the opportunities.
All right. Thank you for your time and your insights this morning. That's Professor Lerotodi Leo, who is Professor of Physics and Astronomy at the University of the Western Cape. What a fascinating phenomenon this is. It's called Earth's second moon, at least for the days that it remains within our orbit.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let's take a few of your voice notes and hear your reflections on some of the stories and topics that we've been discussing this morning.
Morning, Brafani Masimula and the commissioner. Yeah, the commissioner is not telling the truth. In Collinsburg, where he's talking, there is only a roadblock for traffic cops, not for SAPS. SAPS is not the only traffic cops. That is the one that you can see by Beaufort West. I don't know which Beaufort West is the minister talking about, because right now I'm passing there today in Beaufort West. There is no roadblock for SAPS. Thank you.
Good morning, Thulas. The commissioner is not telling the truth there, Thulas. I mean, you can drive from Johannesburg to the Eastern Cape using the N1, N6 without any roadblock. You can even drive to Johannesburg, from Johannesburg to Cape Town without any roadblock on the road. The commissioner is not telling the truth there. As people on the ground, we are seeing this. Thanks from Andile in Willowvale, Eastern Cape.
The words of Hlaudi Muswening. Don't come to the radio and lie to the nation. What roadblock in Kimberley? We live in Kimberley. There are no roadblocks in Kimberley. There is no such. Especially those inter-Cape buses, those long-distance buses. That's where the drugs are. That's how drugs are transported. Ask us who use the buses. We see this. Don't lie. Don't lie.
I was laughing off partly because of just how colorful you've been in describing your lived experiences of these roadblocks that the police commissioner was talking about. But the point is, no one is asking for South Africa to be turned into a police state where you can't leave a city or a town without being stopped and being harassed by police. But I think many of us, law-abiding citizens, would be happy to be stopped by a police officer. Hi, Mr. Simelane, where are you going? Let me see your license. All right, safe journey. It interrupts the planning of criminals, and I think that is the point. At 8:30, let's check in with N. Musa now with the latest news headlines.
Good morning. Thanks to us. In the headlines, President Cyril Ramaphosa has conveyed his condolences to the families of the 6 people gunned down in Godini village in Kumbu in the Eastern Cape on Sunday. The deceased were members of the area's community policing forum. The bail hearing of a farmer who allegedly ran over a 6-year-old boy with his vehicle will continue in the Vredendal Magistrates Court in the Western Cape today. And the mother of the late Whitney Houston has died at the age of 91. Sissy Houston died at a home in New Jersey yesterday under hospice care for Alzheimer's disease. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very busy coming through Midrand on your way to Joburg. It's the usual backlog from sort of old Joburg Road down to New Road, and then there's just been a crash which actually replaced a broken down vehicle at Buccleuch. So the vehicle cleared and then a vehicle crashing at Buccleuch. So you get through the usual backlog to New Road and then you stay pretty much in traffic all the way through to Buccleuch. N1 heavy both ways down towards the Winnie Mandela off-ramp. That looks like problems with the traffic lights. They've been out for so long. Northbound from Randburg, south from Rivonia, all quite heavily backed up. There's been some issues getting into Sandton this morning on Winnie Mandela, Republic and Peter Place with a big stationary truck blocking that section of roadway. Also the roadworks on the R21, which you drove home in last night, leaving the airport. First morning that you're really driving into these. It's a change up the roadworks just before the R23 Benoni exit. Leaving the airport, it's a heavy backlog from back around Pomona Road. Durban side today in the rain. Things still very busy on the M4 if you're moving between Durban and Umhlanga. That section between Blue Lagoon and Umhlanga around Virginia Airport, absolutely jam-packed. Cape Town, a breakdown. N1 inbound at Lower Church at Woodstock. So the N1 stays heavy from Platte to Cliff Hill. Behind that, you'll queue on the N7 to get off that route and into that N1 traffic, and you'll queue on the Coburg Road and Marine Drive to get into the N1 as well. It's all very busy there. Marine Drive on top of that queue, also still very busy. Tableview to Milnerton, and then Milnerton through to Pardon Island. It's a busy Tuesday for motorists using that coastal run from Tableview. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai, I see that there's bad boys in Bafana. Well, at least one bad boy, and the straight-talking, no-nonsense coach is not having it.
Yo, he literally booted him off the pitch. Right, he's gone. So this poor kid, the coach not having any of it.
Sure.
No bad boy behavior allowed with Coach Hugo Bruges, and this I think he will be dropped from the match. That's the player we're referring to, Jaden Adams. And this is, Coach Hugo Broos's non-tolerance to ill discipline in his camp. And he won't play when they face Congo in the Africa Cup of Nations this week. SABC Sport has learned that Jaden Adams did not arrive in Gqeberha as initially planned.
Yeah, in the past months, I several times I said what a group I had. I was so happy with that group. Right attitude, right behavior, professional, everything you want. So I can't afford to let someone in that don't have that attitude anymore. So it's up to Jaden now to think about it and what he's going to do with his future.
Cricket action, the Proteas women putting up a brave fight in their T20 World Cup clash against England, but just falling short, losing by 7 wickets with 4 balls to spare. It was England's Nat Siver-Brunt leading the charge with an unbeaten 48, while South Africa's Laura Wolfhard top scored with 42. The Proteas men falling short against Ireland in their final ODI, losing by 69 runs, but still managing to secure the series win 2-1. Ireland's captain Paul Stirling led the charge with 88 runs, while South Africa's Jason Smith fought valiantly with 91, but it wasn't enough to prevent the defeat. On to golf, and Japan's Rintaro Nakano holds a one-shot lead at 7 under over China's Weini Deng after the second round of the Asia Pacific Amateur Championship. This was suspended due to darkness in Japan. The second round was delayed by 6.5 hours due to fog and heavy rain, and with play not getting underway until much later. The second round will be completed. That's on Saturday, with leading 60 players and ties progressing to the third round. The winner of the Asia Pacific Amateur Championship will receive an invitation to play in the 2025 Masters as well as the Open Championships, while the runner-up will book a place in the Open Qualifying Series. And finally, motorsport. Qatar's Nasser Al Attiyah has been given Dathia a dream debut at the World Rally Raid Championships in Morocco after claiming the stage win. His teammate Francis Sebastian Loeb less fortunate in the flood-affected conditions in Morocco, and we saw a record flooding in Morocco, which led to the Morocco rally organisers swapping around stages in order to allow for a delayed start to proceedings. Now, Al Attiyah's performance bolsters its preparations for Dakar 2025 in the face of their rivalry with Ford's new Raptor machine, the X-Raid Mini and the factory Toyota Hiluxes. That's how we wrap it up on the Morning Brief Sport. We'll have more for you at SAFM around 12:30 with John Hediker. I'm Zai Khan.
The Business Update on SAFM.
Let's bring in Dowling Lechela with one more update for you. And Dowling, let's start with rental prices in Cape Town. They can be quite detrimental to you if your wallet is taking and not quite there. But Airbnb says not guilty. We are absolutely not responsible for that.
That's right, Thulas. And Airbnb is now urging the South African government to implement a national host registry to regulate the short-term rental space and provide better visibility of hosting activity. Now, this comes as the platform disputes those claims that it's driving up rental prices in Cape Town, citing research that shows little to no correlation between its listings and rising rates. Now, according to Airbnb's study, dedicated listings account for less than 0.9% of formal housing units in Cape Town, and adding these listings to the long-term rental supply would only reduce median rent by 69 Rand per month. The platform argues that restricting short-term rentals will not address housing affordability issues, pointing to research by Harvard Business Review that supports this view. And now AMB has a significant presence in the country with 5 million hosts globally and 65,000 listings locally. In 2023, Airbnb says Cape Town hosts earned nearly 2.5 billion Rand and supported 42,000 jobs. Now, the company maintains that hosts should be recognized as informal businesses operating without the burdens of formal tourism registration. As cities worldwide introduce measures to limit short-term rentals, Airbnb advocates for proportional regulation to protect casual hosting and prevent speculation. The platform is proposing a free national registration system for hosts and data sharing with authorities. Airbnb's call for regulation follows global restrictions on short-term rentals. Cities like Barcelona, London, Amsterdam, and San Diego have introduced measures to limit rentals.
And you and I touched on this Superbalist and just its performance compared to where it was initially when it launched. I see that they are now planning to cut their workforce by about 30%.
That's right. Job cuts are on the cards at local online fashion retailer Superbalist. This restructuring process could impact up to 30% of its 265 employees. And the development comes shortly after the company's acquisition by a consortium led by Blank Canvas Capital from Takealot Group. That deal took place in September. Now, in a News 24 article, company CEO David Cohen was quoted saying the restructuring is necessary due to disappointing post-COVID growth and increased competition from other online fashion platforms. I personally do think it's competition because when you look at the likes of Shein and Temu and those prices compared to the prices on Superbalist, there is, a bit of a difference there. And I guess people are choosing to shop where it is a bit more affordable. Now, the restructuring will result in a loss of about 75 roles. And according to sources, this includes the entire design center. Employees are expected to receive notices by the 2nd of December, immediately following the Black Friday sales. Additionally, Superbalist has begun aggressive markdowns on certain items to clear terminal stock. Now, this is not the first round of retrenchments for Superbalist. In August 2023, the company cut staff, citing the need to reevaluate its structure for effective operation in the current economic environment. This, of course, comes as the country struggles with an unemployment crisis, with the jobless rate at 33.3%. Now, despite the changes at Superbalist, Takealot will continue providing logistics and warehousing services to the online fashion retailer through a multi-year agreement. This partnership aims to ensure a seamless operations during the transition.
All right, finally, in Dowling, just a preview of the kind of day we can expect on the markets today.
Markets are in for a mixed start as traders await US CPI numbers. There's not much news on the local front, so markets will mainly be influenced by international factors today. On the currency front, the rand slightly on the back foot, really trading in a tight range this morning at 17.43 to the dollar. Over in the US, futures are flat. Investors awaiting new catalysts to influence markets this week. We've got those inflation numbers and US earnings season kicking off on Friday. In Asia, those stocks in for a mixed finish. Chinese markets really playing catch up after being closed for a week. Over in Japan, and Hong Kong, markets are trending lower as those geopolitical jitters continue to spook traders.
All right, thank you for that. That's Ntaoleng Lechela. She's been watching the economy, business, and the markets and updating you over the last 3 hours here on The Morning Brief.
Welcome to the SABC TV License Loyalty Program, where your payment isn't just about paying fees. It's about joining a vibrant community of connected viewers. Ready for the journey? Here's your roadmap. Sign up at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za and unlock an instant reward. You'll get an SMS to confirm your registration. Make a 50% or 100% payment to your account for a payment confirmation SMS and a promotional code. Explore our partners' product catalogs for an array of offerings. Receive an SMS voucher for your favorite outlet as the icing on the cake. Don't wait. Dive into a world of benefits. Register now at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za. T's and C's apply. Remember, TV license fees aren't just payments, they make a difference.
The Stallions get it that the only way to remain on top of Group L is through a win. However, the Swallows refuse to be left behind. they target a second victory to move away from the third position. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco, Burkina Faso versus Burundi on Thursday, 10 October at 9 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
This is Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief.
All right, let's bring you this story now. The country's sugar industry has once more questioned the impact of the health promotion levy amid calls to scrap the sugar tax or freeze increases. Government introduced the tax on sweetened beverages in 2018 to lower incidence of diabetes and obesity. National Treasury agreed to halt increases during the 2023 budget as the sugar industry tried to recover from tough business conditions. The SA cane growers says despite what appears to be a drop in the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages, there doesn't seem to be a positive health implications. I'm joined now for more by Higgins Mdluli, who is chairperson of the SA Cane Growers Association. Good morning to you, Higgins. I've got to thank you for your time. So tell us about your position now. There was this temporary moratorium on increases on the sugar tax, the health levy, but that has come and gone. What's your position now? Should government be at large to increase that if they so decide?
Good morning, Thulasizwe and SFM listeners. There is growing global and local evidence that sugar tax aren't working as intended, despite claims to the contrary by some health activists. South Africa introduced the HPL, simply known as the sugar tax, in 2018 with the sole intention to reduce diabetes and obesity, as you've indicated earlier in your introduction. In the 6 years since, it is clear that tax is not achieving that goal. Recent scientific evidence on the sugar tax is at best inconclusive, or worse, it clearly shows that a similar tax like the sugar tax cannot address a broad lifestyle disease such as obesity. Instead, since its introduction, the sugar tax has wreaked havoc in the sugar industry. It has led to a multi-billion rand revenue loss, causing substantial job losses, especially in a country that with one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. And it has resulted to a permanent closure of 2 mills in KZN. It is against this background then that we implore President Ramaphosa and his administration to either scrap the sugar tax entirely, or at the least extend the HPL moratorium until 2030.
Sure. So you are adamant that there's absolutely no evidence that the imposition of a sugar tax can have the impact that was intended. So when the United Nations World Health Organization says in a paper that I was looking at, quote, governments can take a number of actions to improve availability and access to healthy foods and have a positive influence. A major action for comprehensive programs aimed at reducing consumption of sugars is taxation of sugary drinks. Just as taxing tobacco helps to reduce tobacco use, taxing sugary drinks can help reduce consumption of sugars. They are off the mark as far as you are concerned, the experts such as the WHO.
We dispute that the sugar alone has that impact. Whatever the intention, whatever good intention they had, but from our side as well, we have independent studies that are clearly showing that it has led to unintended consequences that has destroyed a lot of jobs. We also have independent researches by the National Economic Development and Labour Council, NEDLEC, that did a study that showed that in the first year of the tax alone, 13,536 jobs were lost in the sugar industry, and 12,860 of those are at the farm level, which affects the small-scale growers and the community directly.
So hence we are saying whatever good intentions, it has led to a lot of unintended consequences to us in terms of losing the jobs. We also have further studies by also an agricultural consultancy, the Bureau for Food and Agricultural Policy, which show that the land under sugarcane cultivation is declining since the implementation of the sugar tax. And their modeling has also shown that if the current sugar tax regime continues as it is, it will lead to a further 10% direct job losses by 2021.
So from what
that results will be very much catastrophic, especially if the sugar tax is even increased or if the threshold is of the levy is decreased. So we are saying from our side, losing those growers mean they must become subsistence farmers. They must look for jobs elsewhere, and they are outside of their rural communities, which will leave ghost towns like we've seen now in KZN after the closure of the mills. And they will have to rely on government to survive. And we don't believe that any effective sugar tax that is not effective has a good conscience to be a reason that we destroy the social fabric of rural communities.
So, Mr. Mdluli, lastly,
increase in poverty, it correlates with an increase in poor health. That's what we also believe, which means that when we increase the poverty, it will also drive to worsening some health outcomes.
All right, Mr. Mdluli, just very quickly, does this not then come down to a moral calculus that says either way you lose? That if you don't do anything about trying to reduce the consumption of sugary drinks and the attendant health impacts, you lose in terms of the health outcomes. But if you do something about it, on the other hand, so it becomes that moral calculus. So in your view, we should take on that moral calculus and err on the side of preserving the sugar industry and jobs?
No, we believe we should reach a balance. We would like to invite government that together, us with government, we must think how we approach obesity and the related non-communicable diseases in South Africa. A comprehensive study to identify the actual causes of obesity, looking at the holistic dietary intake and lifestyle, we believe it's urgently needed. And it is very worth noting that there's a lack of evidence of South Africa's health. The last national study, which is the South African National Health and Nutritional Examination Survey, was looking at hunger, health, and weight and lifestyle. It was conducted in 2011 and 2012.
All right.
We need to follow the evidence. And currently, there is no evidence that the sugar tax is addressing obesity and diabetes in South Africa.
All right, I've got to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time this morning. That is Higgins Mdluli, who is chairman of the SA Cane Growers.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still generally heavy into Sandton this morning. All the road closures around the F1 event on the weekend have been lifted and all completed. Catherine Street has been reopened, West and Fifth all open, but it is a Tuesday. We're beginning the sort of midweek sort of hybrid working lifestyle where those that work at the office largely are in on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursdays. You can see that in Sandton. It's very heavily backed up. Grayson Drive from Wynberg, South Road through Morningside, Rivonia through Morningside, Ballyclare coming in on the top of Sandton, William Mandela, Peter Place, Republic Road still heavily backed up, a stationary truck in the mix there as well as you come into Hurlingham. So just if you've got to get into Sandton, it really is very busy. You need to have some extra time to get through. Queuing up on the N1 to get off at William Mandela Drive at Four Ways. Those traffic lights have not worked for the longest time. Normally it sort of flows a bit better, but this morning there's queues both ways. And the roadworks on the R21 if you're leaving the airport towards Tembisa or Pretoria. This is new this morning from Pomona Road up towards the Benoni exit. It's all fairly heavily jammed up. That rain across Durban is pretty heavy and pretty steady, so just continue to drive carefully. Everything on a bit of a go slow because of the wet weather conditions, and traffic lights are off on the M7 at South Coast Road, and that run through has been incredibly heavily backed up, a lot worse than normal this morning. Keita, quite a serious crash on the Lisbik Parkway near the Amazon building from earlier this morning. Looks like it's probably been cleared, but it's left a really big backlog of traffic on the M2 coming in and wanting to off-ramp at Lisbik Parkway. Marine Drive stays solid on towards the M1, the big queue through Pardon Island. The problem is a broken down vehicle on the N1 inbound as you come on from Marine Drive down towards Woodstock, and a secondary problem for N1 traffic is a crash on the elevated freeway, a multi-vehicle pile-up. So that N1 into town still busy from Plattercliff Hill. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week as contestants bake for a spot in the top 5. But to make it through, they must overcome their most ambitious challenge yet, designing, baking and decorating their dream birthday cake. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7, repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
The Blue Sharks want to dive deep and secure 3 points to keep the second position in Group C. While the Zebras of Southern Africa are searching for their first win, they want to escape from the basement. Who will enjoy the final whistle dance of celebration? This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco. Cape Verde versus Botswana on Thursday, 10 October at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The only talk radio morning breakfast show that makes sense. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
All right, let's spend the remaining minutes of this show just having a conversation together, leading the conversation together. Let's speak to Robert, who is in East London. Good morning to you, Robert. You want to talk to me about the sugar tax?
Yes, good morning to Thulasizwe. Just a quick one. Apparently the sugar tax was brought in because of health issues, diabetes, etc., etc. Is that correct?
Yes, that is the justification, yeah.
That would be laughable because I just experienced something the opposite. I spent 6 days in a state hospital, free hospital in East London, due to surgery, and in the mornings when they bring you your porridge, it's pre-sugared. Your tea is pre-sugared, and it's so sweet you can't eat it.
No.
So
who does
that is going against the whole story of health issues, and that's in a hospital.
They put the sugar before they give you the porridge.
That pre-sugar, yes. In the sugar. It's in the porridge, the mealie pup, the jungle oats, the multibella, those kind of pups. And in the tea, you don't get coffee, only tea, and it's pre-sugared.
Oh.
And then with every meal, you get a mountain of rice. And rice also is, if you got general knowledge, rice is a starch, it turns to sugar, which is bad for high blood pressure as well and diabetes. You get mounds and mounds of rice. And they don't stick to the diets that the dietitians are writing up for the specific patients.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do, Robert.
It's crazy.
I don't know what I would do, to be honest with you, because I have personally eliminated a lot of sugar in my own diet. That is Robert in East London. There surely there must be directives that are given to the healthcare practitioners and professionals. You simply can't do that. You just can't. You can't bring me tea that's already sugared, coffee that's already sugared, porridge that's already sugared. It's just not done. You don't know how much, if I take any sugar, how much sugar do I want? What? That doesn't make any sense. That's a call there from Robert. Someone has got to do something about that. Fresh directives, I think, are due there.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. Just on what the commissioner has just said. The problem in South Africa is a problem of policing. We do not have intelligence. Our law enforcement agencies are sleeping, always caught off guard. There is no way that an incident of the same nature can be committed in around the same almost region in a space of 2 weeks. So we have a problem. We do not have one informant. Two, we do not have whistleblowers, because when people go to the police and report such things, the very same law enforcement officers will go back and tell criminals that it's Ubongano or it's Utulas who has committed this. So we have a very big problem. Thank you very much. It's Bongani Mpupoten.
The words of Hlaudi Musweni.
Yeah, I think we're playing that.
Good morning.
Yeah.
I don't think what he's saying is true.
I'm from Limpopo, but I work in Gauteng. I mean, I go home. There's no roadblock anywhere. I just drive. No roadblock anywhere.
Morning, Thulas. It's Chris in Camperdown. I think we need to also look internally within the SAPS. Is there capacity to deal with all these crimes forcefully and decisively in the same way that we are beginning to see General Mkwananzi doing here in KZN? I think heads must roll. As South African, we deserve better. We can't complain. We can't continue complaining and mourning. We need action. And people who deserve to be in positions of authority and decision-making really need to be given an opportunity. Otherwise, we must review the whole SAPS structure from top brass to station commissioner in the Eastern Cape. This cannot be continuing. Obviously, it seems as if this is not going to be the last one.
Sadly, Chris, sadly, and we keep saying that sadly, whenever we hear of a mass shooting incident where many people are killed, through bullets in peacetime South Africa, somehow you are able to say, this may not be the last one. And sadly, we tend to be proven correct. But it's important that the conversations are at least happening. The issue around roadblocks, and I was sharing it strictly from personal experience, and I heard what the commissioner said, and I take what he said, but I mean, I share the experience that many of you have shared this morning about being able to drive very long distances without being stopped by a police officer, save for the traffic authorities. And I think that distinction was made by one of the callers. Crime intelligence, I wish there was a dashboard that would tell us where we are from the weaknesses that were identified in the wake of the July riots. That we were told, we've seen it, we've seen the problems, we will fix it. I wonder how far we are with implementing the fixes that were clearly exposed and identified during the July riots. That's how we come to the end of today's edition of The Morning Brief. Thank you for staying with us and for listening. Thanks to the team that put it all together. The Talking Point is up next here on SAFM, and that's coming up after the news. Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43187 now.
In our top stories, Ramaphosa extends condolences to families of Kumbu mass shooting, and Lutzville farmer accused of driving over 6-year-old back in court. Good morning. President Cyril Ramaphosa has conveyed his condolences to the families of the 6 people gunned down in Godini village in Kumbu in the Eastern Cape on Sunday. The deceased were members of the area's community policing forum. 4 other people were wounded. The latest shooting comes a week after 18 people were gunned down in Ngobazana village in Lusikisiki. Presidential spokesperson Vincent Magwenya.
Government will continue to work with communities to ensure our homes, neighborhoods, and public spaces are safe, and that criminals know they will pay for their deeds.
Meanwhile, the National Police Commissioner General Fani Masimula says they have strong leads indicating about 10 people, including 3 residents of Godini village, could be linked to the 6 murders. Masimula, who visited the scene of the crime, explains what officers are looking for.
We are looking for between 6 and 10 suspects, and we know 3 of them positively. So we think we'll be able to solve the case. The 3 are locals that are known, so we are hot on their heels. We think we'll be able to resolve the case quite speedily.
The bail hearing of a farmer who allegedly ran over a 6-year-old boy with his vehicle will continue in the Vredendal Magistrates Court in the Western Cape today. 70-year-old Christopher Storman allegedly drove into the boy and his mother as they were walking in the area. He was arrested last month after allegedly leaving the boy with fractures to both legs. A Durban biker has had one of his legs amputated after sustaining life-threatening injuries in a hit-and-run incident. Yashkala Khan is the president of the Comrades Motorcycle Club. The incident happened on the N3 on Sunday. It's believed a reckless driver pushed him off the road and then fled the scene. Lakan was travelling with a group of bikers to Durban. The Comrades MC Vice President Lingasan Reddy.
There was this blue Polo that was cutting them off and driving recklessly. So the four of them just pulled away a little front, and then Yash, who was our president of our club, this Polo pushed him off the road into the barrier, and he drove off. And later on, he collided into a truck at the bottom just before the Hammersdale off-ramp, and then he got back into his car and he drove off from there.
And finally, the mother of the late Whitney Houston has died at the age of 91. Sissy Houston died at home in New Jersey yesterday under hospice care for Alzheimer's disease. The BBC's Ania Gulu looks back at the life of a two-time Grammy winner who was in a well-known vocal group, The Sweet Inspirations.
LA is just too much for him.
Sissy Houston was a towering figure in the worlds of gospel and pop music. Her career spanned more than 7 decades, during which she picked up numerous accolades, including 2 Grammy Awards. She also performed as a backing singer or alongside superstars such as Elvis Presley, Jimi Hendrix, Aretha Franklin, and Beyoncé. Her daughter Whitney died more than a decade ago by accidental drowning in a hotel bathroom at the age of 48.
Recapping the top story, President Cyril Ramaphosa has conveyed his condolences to the families of the 6 people gunned down in Godini village in Kumbu in the Eastern Cape on Sunday. The deceased were members of the area's community policing forum. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Your older car can also have Outsurance Essential. It is essentially designed for the needs of older cars. With Outsurance Essential, you get up to 1 million rand liability cover. That means if you cause an accident, the other car you bumped into could be covered for up to 1 million rand. Enjoy this and loads more great benefits at a low price. Get saving with Outsurance Essential for unfinanced cars that are older than 5 years and valued at less than 130,000 rand. SMS CAR to 43187. That's CAR to 43187 today. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's, and information online.
Bafana and the Congolese troops are all looking for their second victory in Group K. Bafana Bomzanzi Africa say they will take full control at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, while the green, yellow and red want to raise their country's flag with 3 points. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco, South Africa versus Congo Brazzaville on Friday, 11 October at 6:30 p.m. on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The cost of living crisis is real. Here's what one Outsurance client did about it.
I'm Amy. I'm 26 from Kenilworth. When I got my 2022 Ford EcoSport, the immediate thought was to phone Outsurance, and I pay only 819 Rand per month. No insurers were able to beat or match the premium that I'm currently paying.
Want a car insurance premium that will blow your mind? SMS out to 30754 now for a quote, and to find out about included benefits like panic assistance that sends the nearest medical or armed response unit to you wherever you may be 24/7. Here's Yusuf.
45 years old from Tegendal, Western Cape. I pay 700 Rand for my Polo 1.6 2021 model. If you haven't called Outsurance yet, definitely get in touch.
Give it a go. SMS out to 30754 now. That's out to 30754. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and limits apply. Premiums are risk profile dependent and reviewed annually. Client comments do not constitute financial advice. The Talking Point on SAFM. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
One thing that keeps me puzzled, despite having studied finance and economics at the world's best universities, the following question remains unanswered. Why is it that 5,000 units of our currency is worth 1 unit of your currency, where we are the ones with the actual gold reserves? It's quite evident that the aid is in fact not coming from the West to Africa, but from Africa to the Western world. The Western world depends on Africa in every possible way, since alternative resources are scarce out here. So how does the West ensure that the free aid keeps coming? By systematically destabilizing the wealthiest African nations and their systems, and all that backed by huge PR campaigns, leaving the entire world under the impression that Africa is poor and dying and merely surviving on the mercy of the West. Well done, all the other organizations that continuously run multi-million-dollar advertisement campaigns depicting charity porn to sustain that image of Africa globally. Ad campaigns paid for by innocent people under the impression to help with their donations. While one hand gives under the flashing lights of cameras, the other takes in the shadows. We all know the dollar is worthless, while the euro is merely charged with German intellect and technology, and maybe some Italian pasta. How can one expect donations from nations that have so little? It's super sweet of you to come with your colored paper in exchange for our gold and diamonds. But instead, you should come empty-handed, filled with integrity and honor. The perception is that a healthy and striving Africa would not disperse its resources as freely and cheaply, which is logical, of course. It would instead sell its resources at world market prices, which in turn would destabilize and weaken Western economies established on the post-colonial free meal system. The IMF reports that 6 out of 10 of the world's fastest growing economies are in Africa, measured by their GDP growth. The French Treasury, for example, is receiving about $500 billion year in, year out. Foreign exchange reserves from African countries based on colonial debt they forced them to pay. Former French President Jacques Chirac stated in an interview that we have to be honest and acknowledge that a big part of the money in our banks comes precisely from the exploitation of the African continent. A concept based on mutual respect and sharing, a blueprint that can be replicated anywhere, under any circumstances. I only had the vision and the insight to recognize diamonds in the rough, and was determined to prove to the world that the absence of donation produces quality in a self-sufficient manner. I believe charity merely creates inferiority and dependency.
Malian Spart Williams is a Sierra Leonean German activist, philanthropist, and multifaceted social entrepreneur, and she gives us our opening motivation for this Tuesday. Hello, everybody. Dumelang Thobela Absheni. Welcome to the Talking Point for Tuesday, the 8th of October. We are SFM. We're leading the conversation that moves you, and please join whenever you want to on 086 000 2032 086 000 2032 or the SMS line 41391. That's 41391 at 150 to you. The WhatsApp line 061 410 4107 061 410 4107. We are on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. We are at SFM Radio, and please hashtag SFM Talking Point when you talk to us. So coming up on the program today, we open the lines for you between now and 10 o'clock. A lot happened yesterday. I'm sure you have plenty you want to talk to us about. And between 10 and 11, the personal finance segment with Brian Hirsch. This week, Brian is addressing concerns regarding delays in the two-pot retirement system, along with issues raised by members about unpaid contributions. And Brian is also going to speak for a few minutes to Mubango Lukaimane, who's the pension funds adjudicator, to answer some of your concerns. And if you didn't know who Brian Hirsch is the chairperson of Brian Hirsch Coley and Associates, and Mubango Lukaimane is the pension funds adjudicator. And after 11, we talk food prices. In the last 3 years, the cost of living crisis has crippled many South African households as food inflation rose to 4.7% overall. According to the recent Household Affordability Index report, the average household food basket went up to 2,860 rand 84 cents for the month of September 2024. This is according to the Peter Maritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. And these pressures have made it difficult for a lot of lower income consumers to keep up with new prices and placing more households at serious risk of being food insecure. So according to the Competition Commission, several retailers and producers have not lowered their prices despite a better economic outlook. So in this discussion, what we want to do is to unpack if us as consumers will benefit from lower food prices given these, the easing of inflation, the easing of fuel prices, stronger exchange rate, and load shedding. We're headed towards the almost 200th day without load shedding in recent months. We'll also talk about the role retailers, food producers play when it comes to pricing, and how different stakeholders can play a role in advocating for us as consumers. So we'll have about two guests. Kali Rendwe Raninyeni, who's the principal economist at the Competition Commission, one of the writers of the Essential Food Price Monitoring Report. Camerodine Junebais is a junior researcher in international development and social policy at the Social Policy Initiative. So that's what we are talking about today. I want to hear what you're talking about. Busy day yesterday. The JSE interviews, remember we spoke about that at the beginning of the show. We spoke yesterday about the fact that, on the weekend, South High Court, Joburg South High Court, had barred Judge John Hlophe from joining the JSE interviews yesterday, solidifying what had already been said by the Cape Town High Court. And of course, those interviews happened yesterday, and 3 judges were shortlisted to go to the Supreme Court of Appeal. Their names, I'll get their names. That's one thing we could talk about. But in the latter part of the day yesterday, we got the official resignation from the JSE, from Judge Hlophe and the MK party. Some people saying, it's time. But a lot of people also saying it's problematic because, there's a demand that the JSE is constituted by 3 opposition groups, 3. So now it's problematic when there's only 2, because now how it was done, he was, I think, deemed as absent. So now I don't know what's going to happen now that he's officially resigned. So we'll see what happens. And then Balula yesterday summoned. Do I use the word summoned? I don't know how to say it in English, but summoned, summoned Lisufi, Mtolo, Duma to Luthuli House regards the issues in Gauteng. Some are saying, no, actually, not much is going to happen there because they would never want to come across like they're destabilizing in any way Gauteng. Perhaps maybe at best he'll do what a COO does, which is what an SG really is, give them a hard talking to. But there's generally a lot that we could talk about today. So you can call on 086 000 2032, 086 000 2032, or on the WhatsApp line 061-410-4107, 061-410-4107. So maybe let's go to break and then come back with your calls.
CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe said, the exponential growth and global competitiveness of football in Africa has resulted in substantial interests from major African and international broadcasters in African football. SABC has been participating competitively in the CAF media rights bids. CAF welcomes them as partners, joining a number of CAF's media rights holders. We are committed to ensuring that CAF's competitions, including its broadcast products, are world-class.
My name is Bonolo Motuba. I'm 17. My school was far from home and my parents were spending large amounts on transport. That's why they moved me to UCT Online High School, and it's been amazing. With savings on transport and uniforms, I was able to get ahead and stay ahead. Visit uctonlinehighschool.com to learn more. Applications close 29 November 2024.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Myths versus facts. I'm too young to get breast cancer. Many women under age 40 are diagnosed with breast cancer. Men can't get breast cancer. 1 in 922 men have a lifetime risk of breast cancer. I have never had children and can therefore not get breast cancer. Women who haven't had children or only had them after 30 have an increased risk of breast cancer. Breast Cancer Awareness Month on SAFM. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Let's talk also a little bit about being a male nurse. And I wonder, that must be a very unique experience, because firstly, when we think nurses, we don't really think male nurses have the same kind of nurturing.
I will tell you, I'll be honest with you, no guy said, when I finished school, I want to do nursing.
Yeah.
There was no guy who said that. All we said engineering, all those courses. Being a male nurse, I will tell you, me, I was recognized by my late grandmother. He said, when you end this destination, you'll be helping people at hospitals. So, for me, nurses, I cherish these things. But only to find out now, after all the struggle, I found myself in nursing.
Sakile is a nurse at Bara Hospital.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Call us on 086 000 2032.
I wish I could say it that nice, 086 000 2032. I like the way he says it. Temba in Norwood. Hi, you want to talk Banyaza's future in the ANC. Hi, Temba.
Hello, Paige. How are you?
Hi, Temba. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I want to, actually, I just want to warn Ramaphosa and his Mickey Mouse Balula.
His what? His what? What did you call him?
No, wait, my sister. They must not touch that guy. That guy have worked the ground in Gauteng. He has done very well. And if now they want to touch that guy, they want to bring Gauteng into his meals, because people of Gauteng, they will never allow that. There are many people who can put a food on the table today because of that man. So they want to touch him because his utterance regarding the journey, of which is true. There's no problem with that.
But do you not think that there has to be a degree of discipline? Politics is also a lot about optics. It's about what we make it look like. It's no different to a household. I don't know if you're black. How in a household they'll say, like if you know what I mean.
There's nothing wrong that guy did when you talk about Helen Ziller to control the ANC. He's defending his party. So if Ramaphosa can't speak, he can speak. And the people, they think that message was written on the T-shirt was just a message. It's not just a message. And what they're doing now, they make him more popular. He will be the president of the ANC, I'm telling you. Very soon, with that behavior they are taking against that man, we're going to force him to be a president, and he will be the president.
Before you go...
Ramaphosa, we can recall him anytime soon. So they must not touch that guy. That guy is right. That's
Okay.
why, yes.
Okay, I've got you. Before you go, I clearly can tell you're a member of the ANC, but clearly you yourself lack discipline because you called your SG a name at the start of our conversation.
No, let's leave that. Let's leave that, my sister. Let's deal with the real issues. The guy must not be touched. No.
I heard you.
I have to clarify something. I'm not a member of the ANC.
I heard you.
Serious, my sister. They must not touch that guy. Look how Panyasa did in Gauteng. He's done very well. And then you want to touch that people like that? No. We can't afford to lose that guy. He's our only hope for now. We can't afford to lose him. So if they touch him, they touch us, and they will see us. They will see.
But very well is relative, depending on who you ask, because somebody else can easily come and say the NC has performed the worst at the national elections under Panyaza Lesufi with over 30%. But I hear your point. Thanks, Temba. Abraham in Soshanguve, good morning.
Thanks.
Abraham. Is it Abraham or Abram? Hi.
It's Abraham. It's not Abraham. Thank you.
Hi, Abraham.
Yes. What happened yesterday in Parliament, especially the issue of the MK party, is actually revealing something very interesting. Thulasizwe Simelane went AWOL yesterday. He didn't attend the first session of the JSC. And nobody knows where he was. He actually didn't even apologize. And now speculation is rife that he's probably boycotting because of what happened to Dr. Slope. For me, that is very interesting because Julius can be associating himself with the MK party. And this is just my view because due to what happened recently. And, I think it is also revealing something interesting. I don't think Thulasizwe Simelane is in charge of the EFF. He needs to come out and clarify that issue. My opinion is that Dalimpofu is in charge of the EFF, and he's actually using it for his own business interests. Thank you very much.
Wait, Tuskazama. And you base that on what, Abraham?
Yeah, remember, Mkhwebane was actually his client. And he actually made a lot of money representing Mkhwebane. And then thereafter, Mkhwebane became the member of the EFF. Actually, someone had to make space for her in Parliament. For the longest time, he has been representing Jacob Zuma, and now he was representing Dr. Slope. So I think for me, it's just to show that he's actually using, now that Malema did not pitch yesterday, probably is because Dalimpofu actually instructed him not to come because obviously he was representing Dr. Slope. That is just my analysis. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Titus in Limpopo. Hi, Titus. You want to talk about kids dying of food poisoning. I heard about the situation in Soweto. Hi, Titus.
Good morning, KJ.
Good morning.
And the community of SAFM. I just want to come in over this. Sometimes we got events like that, children are dying, but we always having scapegoat, pointing fingers, spice a shop and blah, blah, blah. I want to come in and just say that we parents were not so vigilant. I've got 5 boys. The third one is 19. It's 1,600 kilometers away from me as I speak. He's doing his civil engineering at the Cape Peninsula University. Every time he rings me, he said, Dad, I'm eating this. I'm saving money like this. I'm living like this. And now we talk about his technical subject.
How old is he, by the way?
He's 19 now.
He's 19, okay.
Yes, now. And then the second one is at Bloemfontein. He's doing agriculture. Every time he talks to me, he talks about money, he's in nutrition. about the noise and the other stuff. He told me some time back that he used to spend his time cross night at the library with his good friends.
Yes.
Because the other children at rest, they buy beers and they brought these loudspeakers, make noise and so on. And then he ran. And that guy, what I loved with him, he got 16 distinctions out of his 8 subjects.
That's amazing.
And I told him, look, boy, I want the 2 in the cross. So what I want to talk to we parents, somebody can ask me, how did I get there? It is very simple. You start talking to a child at a root level, at house. We did have what you call a scoring sheet, which is we put it on the wall. Every time the child come to school, from school, blah, blah, he brought his clothes, his whatever, he drop his food, his shoes everywhere in the house. He lose a point. But if he did, he may collect. You know how much they collect a month? Only 5 rand. 5 rand coin. And you give him that 5 rand. They don't take it to the spider shop or any shop.
Yeah.
They put it in the spark box.
Titus, but you need to get to your point now. You need to get to your point.
That is what I'm finishing my point. And then they put it in the spark box. On Christmas time, we count the money and buy them their present. So what I'm saying, I used to prepare food or lunch box every day in the morning. We go to the supermarket with children, and then we buy whatever they want to see in their lunch box every day. Your sweet, your bananas, your biscuit and whatever. Every day in the morning you prepare their stuff and then you put there.
Okay.
They don't buy. They come with food from home. They don't buy.
Okay, so you make lunch. You make lunch for the children at home.
Every day
Okay.
in the morning. My children, all of them were in the what you call private school.
Okay. Thanks, Titus.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I see you, Mbo Wana, in Mahikeng. I see you, Khotso, in Midrand. I see you, Shonisani, in Senton. I see you, Ntlab Telezi, in, I don't know where you are, in KZN. I see you, Charlie, in Coffee Fontaine. I see everybody. I'll come back, and I also see the voice notes, but it's 9:30 now. I have to go to the news headlines with N. Musa.
Good morning. Thanks, KG. In the headlines, the organization monitoring the judiciary in South Africa, Judges Matter, has described Dr. John Hlophe's resignation from the Judicial Service Commission as surprising after his Umkhonto party fought against attempts to remove him. President Cyril Ramaphosa has conveyed his condolences to the families of the 6 people that were gunned down in Godini village in Kumbu in the Eastern Cape on Sunday. The deceased were members of the area's community policing forum. And a former Lebanese Prime Minister Fouad Sinyourna says the world has abandoned his country as Israel continues its war against Hezbollah. He has complained that there's been a lack of initiative to end the conflict. I'll have details on these and other stories at 10.
The Stallions get it that the only way to remain on top of Group L is through a win. However, the Swallows refuse to be left behind. They target a second victory to move away from the 3rd position. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco, Burkina Faso versus Burundi on Thursday, 10 October at 9 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
This summer, we have extra large offers on Ford Ranger XL, XLT and Wildtrak from only 481,900 for a Ranger XL single cab 4x2. It's the extra large Ranger offer from only 481,900. Visit your nearest participating Ford dealer. Optional service plan included. While stocks last. T&Cs apply.
You are listening to KG Mwekezi on SAFM.
KG, good morning. You know, KG, our justice system is failing us. I mean, you remember that girl who money was put in their account. I think it was NSFAS money or something. And now you look at this guy who stole, this Bosasa guy who stole 360 something, I think, million. Just look at the sentencing there. I mean, 5 years for stealing such a lot of money. I mean, if I also can be in possession of that kind of money, I'll steal it most, because I know I'll spend only 5 years. Then I'll be out. Even that 5 years, that guy is going to spend only 1 year, 6 months in prison. Then he'll be out on parole. Then he'll be enjoying that money. Or where is that money? Did they get that money back? I thank you, Anonymous Bloemfontein.
KG, I just want to thank you guys, SAFM internet team. Yesterday, I came here and complained about some people that were using the disability grant of a person, but not using the same way it's supposed to be done. And then your technical producer sent me a message saying that I must involve the social workers. So I did that, KG. And then luckily, then I saw that during the day, I saw the social workers been getting in that house. I think they talked to the parents. So I just want to thank you guys for what you said. I must involve the social workers. I did that. I know that now I'm sure they're going to treat the kid. They're not going to treat the person the same way, because the community is seeing what they are doing.
9:34. Thank you so much for your messages. Keep them coming. 061 410 4107. Maybe we go to Barkimang Khotso in Midrand. You also want to talk about Panyaza. Khotso, hi.
Hi, Sister KG.
Hey, Khotso, how are you, my brother?
Look, I'm good, but I'm not good.
What's wrong?
It's this Freedom Padoda element.
Okay.
You see, most of us this morning, we want to make a clarion call and a warning to Comrade Freedom Padoda to say must not trigger our anger. We see what they are trying to do to Comrade Panyaza. You see, Panyaza has been the one who's been trying to hold this sinking ship of the ANC in Gauteng, or the ANC in general, because you see the ANC now, ANC has tend to become the DA. But we are saying, Comrade Freedom Padoda, with your friends there, you dare try to do anything to Comrade Panyaza, you'll know as well. This is just a warning, because we have been telling to the ANC to say, ANC, stop this thing of you that you have changed and become the DA, taking instruction from Goko Helen Zila. What Panyaza did in Tswana, for example, is what everyone needed. He needed to do. But that was not only Panyaza alone. It was also the Action SA and other parties there to say we don't want this racist DA in Tswana. But now you're having element of Fikile Mbalula trying to threaten people. But we are saying to you, Fikile Mbalula, just try your luck on Panyaza. You'll see what you have been trying to do, what you have been asking all along.
Okay.
Because Panyaza
has
been trying to hold on this ship, but we are having Fikile. Fikile is threatening every port, including the current Minister of Justice, Comrade Nkadimeng. Now is under the mercy of Fikile Mbalula. What is Fikile?
He is the Secretary General of the ANC, but your threat has been heard. Thank you, Khotso, in Midrand. Mbowana in Mafikeng, you're worried about the state of the economy in the Northwest Province. Hi, Mbowana.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
How can we, our economy, 62% into the hands of white, 8% into black, 13% Indian, 7% colored, and we cry about poverty, we cry about youth unemployment, we cry about crime? Can't we see there's a problem that we need to attend to here? This is a big problem.
Please give me context. When you count those figures are reflective of
the economy statistics of our country currently.
The economy statistic, as in economic participation, or what about the economy?
What it's showing is the country can't prosper if the economy is in this type of statistics, to saying the minority people in a country got a majority of economy. And the majority of people in a country got far, far, far less percentage of the activity of the economy of the country.
Okay.
That's why we got all these type of problems that we have, and we are all not having a solution. The solution is for our government to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, all this youth unemployment, we need them in army, we needed them in police, we needed them in health, in agriculture, but they are doing focal. Instead, the government should come with a solution to feed this youth into volunteer into all these aspects of the activity for the economy of the country.
Okay, mind your language, Bowana, but thanks for your comment. Thandisa Komatlosana, you're also on that Mbalula Panyaza tip. Hi, Thandisa.
Morning, Katie. How are you?
Morning, Thandisa. How are you?
I'm very angry. I'm very angry about.
Nwametsi, man. Nwametsi.
Angry. You know, Katie. Other things we allowed them to go on for a long time as members of ANC because of distractions and whatever. Look, Katie. Let Mbalula touch Thulasizwe in KwaZulu-Natal. And you must touch also Panyaza. Who else? That guy. There is someone here. Look, KG.
No, not Ntu.
We are members of ANC. We know what is happening day and night in ANC. We cannot allow these factions to destroy our people who are working so hard for this organization because of DA. We are not. We never joined DA. We are not going to pay the suit DA in the wrong things. When DA is working ANC, we are not scared of a DA. We are not scared as members of ANC. If people did not vote, you must get the cause. Why people they didn't vote? You see, we are tired, KG. People they summon leaders, chairpersons of ANC. But they forgot they said to chairperson, you must appoint this person as MEC. You can't even do your things to say, I need these people to run my government.
Here's what none of you who are calling here and making your threats are explaining to me. I thought you drive a collective agenda as the ANC of the so-called GNU, right? And I thought also that you drive a collective agenda as driven by the top six of the ANC, right? But it comes across to me that you want something different for the province of Gauteng, and you want it to not necessarily be driven by the top six structure or the top seven structure of the ANC. You want it to be driven by the provincial structure of the ANC, and you're not explaining to me why.
Let me tell you, Kechi, you see, when we elect a region or a province, we give them mandate, very clear mandate. You are going to represent us. A National Executive Committee is taking a decision, listening to the PEC. You can't the PEC take a decision and then you say, because you are set for Helen Zille, you're supposed to summon people.
Okay.
You know? Thank you.
Thanks, Thandisa. Don't fight with me.
We want ANC that is stable now. We are tired about these people are messing our ANC. We are tired.
Go have a glass of water. Thanks, Thandisa.
Thank you.
Everybody's breathing rather heavy this morning. Charlie in Koffiefontein. No, I think we spoke to Charlie in Koffiefontein. Not yet. Charlie in Koffiefontein, food poisoning as well. Hi, Charlie. It's okay. I've got you. Hi, Charlie.
Yes, KG. I just wanted to say, but anyway, I wanted to talk about the 5 children who tragically passed away after buying, the snacks from the shops in the townships.
Yes, yes.
So now I want to ask from you guys. Actually, we've been gaslighted. We are not supposed to say anything because now when we speak about these things, it seems as if now we are being labeled names. And I don't want to mention who are those people because we are not supposed to say anything. So now I want to hear from the media. I want to hear from the DA. I want to hear from the EFF. I want to hear from the ANC. I want to hear from the NGOs. I want to hear from all these analysts, these experts on these subject matters. What is it that we are supposed to do? Because that's the first occurrence that is happening almost on a monthly basis now. What do you want us as South Africans to do about these things which are happening in our country? Can you maybe shed light on it? Because when we raise these valid points, we are being labeled a lot of names. We are being banned on platforms, whereas our concerns are very, very genuine. 5 children lost their lives now because the snacks that they bought from these tuck shops, apparently they were laced with the red poison. So now I want.
So you're saying what? That you don't want to take matters into your own hands and you don't want to be labeled xenophobic? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying because when we as South Africans raise these genuine concerns, we are being shut down by the media, by the ANC, EFF, and the DA, the NGOs. The NGOs even take us to court.
But you're on the media, Charlie. I've given you a platform to put your point across. So why don't you put your point across? You are on the media right now.
My point is, like I said last week on Katie was on air, the inspections which were done last week, more than 2009, almost 2009 inspections were done just in under 1 week. Now, if you can do those things in a township, and then you say, who are the ones who are supposed to be operating those tuck shops? I'm telling you, 90% of those tuck shops will be closed. But when we're asking for those things, we are being labeled. So now, that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying this to you, KG. As people are always giving us names and everything, what is it as South Africans? What do we do now in this case? Because the ANC is useless. The ANC does not even want to entertain these things. Because the last time I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, there was a motion in KZN that let us go and inspect all the illegal owned foreigners shops. All of them agreed besides the ANC. The only consolation I have regarding the ANC is that they are losing power. I don't see them coming back in the next election. But I also want a solution from you guys as the media to say, no, this cannot keep on happening every month, and then all we do is report about it.
So what kind of solution would you want the media to give you?
The media should highlight the genuine concerns of South Africa and stop stifling us. Because the concerns that South Africans have, they are genuine. And I'm not just talking about you giving me a platform to air my grievances here. We know how the media in South Africa is. You have marches, we have genuine marches, and which are in with regard to the law. But when we do that, then another one comes in. They write about the xenophobic or the what is his name? I just forgot his name that they like to label us. We are generally concerned about our country. And as South African media, we would also expect South African media to be concerned about South Africans. I don't even want to talk about the South African Human Resource Commission. Just do research on those officers and you'll see who occupies them. So those ones should change their names from the South African Human Rights Commission. They are not for South Africans, those ones. Because there's no one is standing for us. No one is assisting us. No one is hearing our cries. No one is doing anything to assist us. This is something which we cry almost every single day on social media, on any platform that we can get. But no one is taking us seriously.
Are you done, Charlie?
Yes, but my request is the media should also come on board. They should highlight the crisis that we are facing in South Africa regarding these people.
You've said that. Are you done, Charlie?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Patrick, in Jerusalem, service delivery protest action in your area taking place now. Patrick, hi.
KG.
Hi. Where is Jerusalem?
Ekurhuleni.
Yes, of course, I know Ekurhuleni.
Oh, you know which field? Which field in Boksburg?
Okay.
Yeah, it's on that. There is another squatter camp around that thing called Jerusalem at Delmo. Frost stones around all the road was far. People not going to school. You remember last I talked with you because you cannot talk with these people from Ekurhuleni to come to address what's going to make the development this side because on the terrible state this side, when we go arrange for the municipal watch, you say you will arrange that. Since then, not yet. And they see now things are out of hand here around this side.
Sorry, you say you spoke to me and I did what?
Last time I spoke with you about you cannot request people from Ekurhuleni municipality to come on the municipal watch to address what about the development on this area. Now you see the people, they were protesting the blockage of the road, stones, never go to school, work, whatever.
Okay. So you want the Ekurhuleni municipality on municipal watch,
yes,
and you're saying there's a protest that is happening in Jerusalem now.
Today, yes.
Today.
The protest,
and that what is that? Wait, Pell, I'm trying to follow your trail of thought. What is that protest about?
Service delivery.
Service delivery in which particular area in Jerusalem?
Yes, in Delmo, this area.
Delmo, and the specific service delivery that you are protesting about is what exactly?
No electrification, no whatever. They don't even record this place since whatever they just protest.
But you can't say whatever. Tell me what it is. What are you protesting about?
Sorry?
What exactly are you protesting about? You lilwanela ing.
Better living, KG, better living. Because if you can come, you can see this time, you can see it like in 30 years in democracy, not any development.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you get me. So that's why if you can say maybe you can address because you now protest all over, no what out of order. You can't know what's happening.
Okay. The producers are listening to you, and they will make a decision about who they put in the municipal watch. You are heard, Patrick. We're going to go to break. John Bully in Kuruman, I see you. Shonisani in Senton, I see you. Ntlab Teles, I see you, and everybody else, I see you, and we'll come back with everybody after the break.
Those who love the game say chess is the gymnasium of the mind. The world's top chess players will showcase exciting fast chess played among 6 teams in search of the ticket to the ultimate glory. This is the second season of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. Catch the Global Chess League 2024 action from 3 to 12 October, live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
EFC 118 promises to be one of the most scintillating fight nights in recent memory with 2 standout matchups. Fresh off his incredible run in The Ultimate Fighter, Rody Rhodes battles for the interim featherweight strap against deadly kickboxing specialist Ayanda Zwane, whilst the co-main event witnesses the return of the one and only Martin the Punisher Van Staden, who takes on fellow veteran Hanru the Bully Boda. EFC 118 from the World Sports Betting Arena. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
Hashtag SAFM Talking Point.
I want to read you the letter, the letter that, what's his name? Because it was public. The letter that Mbalula sent to, you've probably seen it, but I just want to read it to you for the purposes of context. I've observed with concern your public utterances with regards to matters of the GNU and the coalitions in local municipalities following the national and provincial elections. And these public utterances that you have made clearly go against the resolutions made by the National Executive Committee. You would recall that the NEC elaborately discussed the aftermath aftermath of the unfavorable electoral outcome, which henceforth was characterized as a significant and strategic setback, and that mindful of the pitfalls of the various options that availed, the NEC ultimately resolved on the GNU as the most viable option. In contrast, your public articulations seem to argue in contradiction to the NEC resolution in this regard, thereby bringing the ANC into public disrepute. Ordinarily, any organization that fails to observe basic tenet of organization with respect to the principle of democratic centralism naturally invites such public disrepute and ridicule of its leadership. You are accordingly requested to present an explanation to the national officials on why your public utterances should not be considered to be not only in violation of the principle of democratic centralism, but that this inevitably violates the ANC constitution, with the consideration that all NEC decisions are binding to all lower structures. You are therefore requested to make this presentation as outlined above tomorrow on Monday the 7th. He went, of course. That was yesterday. That was written by this SG to Lisufi. That's what a lot of people are responding to. John Bully, you also want to talk about evictions in your area. You are in Kuruman. Hi, John Bully.
Hi, Komoto. My name is John Bull.
Hey, Waitzi, I apologize on behalf of my colleagues who give me the wrong names.
I think you remember the Pina Bulle cake. Not my name is John Bull.
Oh, John Bull. John Bully. I'm sorry, John Bull. I'm sorry, John Bull.
Yeah, I'm settling in Kurumane, Sisi.
Yeah.
2004. We have invaded the land because the municipality, together with Coxter, they promised us houses to build 4,500 houses.
Okay.
And they paid the lawyer 860,000.
Okay.
Louis Papers, I can call a name. Louis Papers advocate.
Sure.
Fast forward to that, 2023, the very same advocate, he was paid 1,400,000 rand. So I asked the municipality, what for? What are you paying for? Why are you paying? And why are you always picking up this and picking this advocate? They came with their eviction. When we questioned them about the housing that they promised us, because they have already paid about 70 million rent.
I think we lost John Bull. Shonisani in Senton, what is happening to the reduction of the electricity prices? Hi, Shonisani.
Hi, KG.
Hi, my name is Khomoto. I'm well, thank you.
KG.
How are you?
Sorry, sorry, KG. Thanks for taking my call. KG, if you remember very well with regard to the prepaid customers, there was that surcharge of 236 that was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And it had been said that there's going to be a review with regard to that. But it seems as if now sleeping dogs have been left to lie, as the saying goes. And now I'm asking myself, everything has died down, it's quiet. What is happening with that?
Mm.
Do you, because we're not receiving any updates, do you perhaps know, or people are now cozy in their account offices and they feel that now, you know what?
That irony, cozy in their aircon offices means that the electricity bill is going even higher. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, I've got packs, it doesn't affect me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now I just need to find out if there has been or anyone knows about that, or maybe we need to call in someone from Morero's office or himself to come and explain himself and say what is it that is happening now, because as is the price of electricity, it's unbearable. I mean, you have this 236 which could have added to the unit and it's just going.
Yeah, I think it's another suggestion to the producers, of course, because you're right about the price of electricity. We can barely breathe. We really can barely breathe. It's tough. So it's a great suggestion. Thank you, Shonisani.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Nhlanhla Buthelezi. Hi, Nhlanhla.
Hi, KG. How are you?
Hi, Nhlanhla. I'm well. How are you?
Hi, we're fine. Yeah, the People's Revolutionary Movement, the organization in which I belong and lead, is highly concerned.
Pelas, speak up for me, anguzwa kahle.
Oh, okay. I'm saying we are very concerned as the People's Revolutionary Movement about the situation in the
Middle East
Africa, called Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not Middle East, it's not East Africa.
Mm-hmm.
They just call it the Middle East for the purposes of undermining Africa. So we're very, very concerned about what is happening there. Mm-hmm. The attacks of the neighboring states by the Edomites, Netanyahu and his military forces.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we are not against, in fact, we are not supporting Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
We are against Hamas. We support PLO. We understand Hamas to be the organization which is a terrorist organization formed for the purposes of destabilizing the Northeast Africa.
Okay.
And we request that the international community, countries of the world, sit down, because the American government is not really prepared to intervene to ensure that there is no supply of weapons in the Israeli government.
Mm-hmm.
There's a perpetual continuation of the violence and the killing of people there.
Yes.
So that the Third World War would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see what Albert Pike was saying, because he predicted the First World War and it happened the way he predicted.
Mm-hmm.
The Second World War he predicted as it happened. Now we see the Third World War is going to happen the very same way he predicted, that it will be between the people of Palestine and those Edomites who call themselves Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to happen. And America is supporting Israel, is supporting Benjamin Netanyahu, and we are saying that is part of Africa. We request the African countries and countries of the world to sit down and ensure that that war does not happen. Call Netanyahu to order, and call Hamas to stop violence. And we are against violence. And we say there should be peace to all the people of God. And we are really are concerned that United Nations is doing absolutely nothing. We know South Africa is not going to do anything. Even whether they go to the ICJ and they go wherever, we know it's just the spending of money.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've run out of time, Nhlanhla, but I think you've put your point across. Thank you, everybody who called. It's 10, and Musa is standing by with the news.